Good evening, everyone. It's 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, May 8th, and I'll call to order this regular meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls City School District Board of Education. Ms. Stoyko, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Coco?
Here.
Mr. Gomez?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here.
Thank you. Item B is an approval of the agenda. Number 1 is a motion to approve the agenda. It's recommended that the Board of Education approves the agenda of the May 8th, 2024 Board of Education meeting. Action by the Board of Education, adoption of a consent agenda means that all items are adopted by one singular motion unless a member of the Board of Education, Treasurer, or Superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Just note for the public, the printed copies of the agenda say that the handbooks are to be adopted, but they were printed and then there was a change. They are just for discussion tonight. And that was the only last minute change. Please call the roll.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Thank you. Item C is the opening ceremony. Number 1 is informational items. This meeting is a meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not a public community meeting, although there are opportunities for public participation. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic found on the meeting agenda, the individual must complete a registration form found inside the attendance notebook and present it to the treasurer. Following the introduction of the topic by the board president, followed by board discussion, the individual will be recognized. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic not found on the meeting agenda, they must notify the superintendent and or board president of the topic no later than 3 business days in advance of the meeting. These individuals may share their comments during the board business portion of the agenda. In both cases, the individual will preface comments by announcement of their name and address and limit comments to 3 minutes. All statements should be directed to the board president. No person may address or question board members individually. In addition, in public session, the board will not hear complaints about school personnel nor against any person connected with the school system. An unabridged board agenda for this meeting can be found on your electronic device and the address shown on the screen. And for your convenience, hard copies of the board agenda may be found on the table by the sign-in book. The next Finance Committee is May 21st, 2024 at 8:30 a.m. in the Board of Education offices, 431 Stowe Avenue. And the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education is Wednesday, May 22nd at 5:30 p.m. right here in the Cuyahoga Falls High School Library. Now for our pledge, and welcome, Dr. Salko.
Thank you. Please stand for the pledge, if able. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. Our vision, Cuyahoga Falls City Schools, the hub of our community, committed to a culture of caring. We innovate, we create, we personalize education for all. Our mission, every student, every day, every opportunity. The board's strategic plan goals are as follows. School safety, we aspire to have a welcoming environment that ensures that the physical and social well-being needs of every student and staff member are met. Academic growth, we aspire to have significant growth through personalized education for all students. We aspire to improve graduation rates so that our students are prepared for employment, enrollment, and enlistment. Engagement, inclusion, diversity, we will ensure that every student has access to resources they need when they need it in order to be successful. And technology and systems integration, we aspire to create safe, secure, and efficient technology systems to support high-quality teaching, learning, and district operations. Thank you.
Thank you. Brings us to item D, our presentations. We have a number of wonderful staff recognitions tonight, and I'll invite up Dr. Salko to lead those.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Oh my goodness, there's so many of you in here, and that's all I heard. Good evening. All right, we just got off work, some of us, we're a little tired, I know, I hear you. But stay with me here, we got a lot of great news here to report this evening. Several recognitions, which is always really fun. Again, I'm the superintendent, Andrea Selico, and I get the honor of bringing you all this good news. All right, so we are going to start. Our first recognition is for Mr. Kenny Johnson. So, Mr. Johnson, please come forward. Mr. Johnson loves recognition. I learned that about him. Yes?
Just the kids.
All right. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mr. Johnson. He's our athletic director, first of all. And probably a few weeks ago, we went to a recognition ceremony in which he received the Tim Flannery Horizon Award. And this is an award given to an active athletic director who shows professionalism and involvement in the profession and who makes a difference in his district. And so we are pleased to see that Mr. Johnson got that award. I am going to read the excerpt from that day, so you get to stand up here longer. So, it's only about 7 minutes long. All right. Kenny Johnson is currently serving in his 5th year as the Director of Athletics and Activities for the Cuyahoga Falls City School District. Prior to this, Kenny served as a teacher and the head boys basketball coach in the district. He is a proud 1996 graduate of Cuyahoga Falls High School and a 2003 graduate of the University of Akron, where he earned a Bachelor's of Science degree in education. He completed his Master's of Education in Administration and Supervision at American Public University in 2013. His role as athletic director at Cuyahoga Falls expands to more than just overseeing the athletic programs. He is also a mentor to his student athletes, actively and visibly involved in all the aspects of their education. His passion for both his school and the Greater Falls community is evident as he supports all activities and athletics that take place year-round, and they are numerous. Kenny's leadership and kindness have helped him create great relationships with his coaches, athletes, and stakeholders. The student athletes often come to him when they need advice or just someone to listen to them. He encourages all his athletes to show pride in their school and community, no matter the outcome of the game. Most importantly, he is determined to see the students of Cuyahoga Falls succeed both on and off the playing field. Kenny resides in Cuyahoga Falls, where he's lived his entire life. He is married to his wife, Gina, who also teaches for us, for 19 years, and they have 2 children, Emma, who is a junior, and Ethan, who's going to the high school next year, I believe, right? And he has also been a teacher and a coach in our district for over 25 years. So could we please have a round of applause for Mr. Johnson?
All right. As Dr. Salka said, I don't really like being up here getting an award about me, because when you run an athletic department, it's not just about you. Yeah, this award says my name, but this award should say Cuyahoga Falls City Schools on it, because I get to work with great people every single day. I first want to thank the Board of Education for all the support you give the athletic department and myself. And it starts at the top with Dr. Selico. What she has done for me in the last year and a half here, I looked over my goals, and when I had a meeting with her, I said, every one of these goals you've helped me with, and that means a lot when the person at top is willing to come down and help, and she does that on a daily basis. Every 2 weeks I meet with her. The support is awesome from the top, and I also want to thank Christy and Joanne from the treasurer's office and their whole department. I know sometimes we can be a pain a little bit, but they are great to work with. Allie, Peggy, Mallory, and HR, getting to work with them and them getting all our coaches certified. And I can go through everybody. Jody helped me do a field trip handbook, spent multiple hours doing it with me. She didn't have to do that, but just willing to help. Me and Kenneth have met multiple times this year on different situations, always willing to help me. Christine Stewart puts out anything I ask from her from athletics. It's a total team effort. Her doing Parent Square has really helped the communication with students and parents and athletics. I can keep going. Margie and Janine at transportation and all these bus drivers. Kudos to them. They're unbelievable. The bus drivers that go watch our kids' athletic events and know our kids' names during athletic events and are actively cheering for them, that's outstanding. And Margie always, today was a good example. We didn't have a bus as of a couple days ago for our softball team to get to the sectional tournament. Margie made it happen, and our team got there. They're playing right now, so hopefully they're winning. Joe and Aaron with maintenance and custodial. I mean, these people set up our fields for us, clean up after the games. They're just valuable people. All our administration from high school to middle school, and I know there's elementary here too. I have to work with all of them on a daily basis. They do everything they can to help our kids, get kids in gyms, get kids on fields. And I'm asking a lot of them, and I know that, and I appreciate everything they do as well. I have to bring up Ben Gesford and Officer Davis as well, because what they've done helping me at athletic events with safety and things like that has been just absolutely great for athletics. And then the coaches, obviously, what a great coaching staff I have. If you don't have great coaches, the athletic department really would struggle, and we have great coaches. Laura and Pauline, my secretaries, they're great. They do everything for me during the day. They're not here tonight, but they're just as much a part of this award as I am. All our student athletes, it's a pleasure watching them, and I hope all you top Tigers out here get involved in something, not necessarily just athletics, but our art program, our music programs. They're outstanding, and the more you get involved in, the more fun school will be. So keep that in mind. All you top Tigers here, congratulations. And lastly, just my family, my wife Gina, my son Ethan, and my daughter Emma. I'm gone a lot, and they support that. I actually got to go get to them. They're at Talmadge for the Suburban League track meet, so that's where I got to head from here. But thank you. Without all your guys' support, this award wouldn't happen. So thank you guys very much.
And if I could just add one thing, Mr. Johnson goes over and above what he is asked to do on a regular basis for our students. And I want to give an example. If we have any baseball or softball parents in the crowd, you know, those fields are maintained by Parks and Rec, and had some frustrations, which we know about over the past few years, and we've been working on that. But a couple of weeks ago, we had a softball field situation that our parents were particularly frustrated about, and we fielded some calls about that next day. But the one thing they said, but we want to compliment Mr. Johnson, because he went and got his leaf blower from home and was in the field leaf blowing mounds of grass because he was just so upset with the condition the field was in. So he went and got his own leaf blower from his house to try to make the condition of the field better for our students, because it just wasn't up to his standards. And that's the kind of person that he is, that he will use his own personal supplies, personal money to go over and above for our students, because he wants things to be up to the standards that he would expect for our students. And we thank you a lot for what you do.
I'm like the proud mama now. They just complimented all our team and how special and hardworking they all are, and I concur. I'm extremely proud of the work and the people in which we have in our district. And yeah, I'll let Mr. Johnson off the hook now. We'll move on. All right. Our second award is for Lincoln Elementary School. So I don't know how many are here this evening. Where's Lincoln? All right, I see you. Come on. Come on up. Lincoln has received the Purple Star School Award. Now I'll tell you what that is about in just a moment. I love these colors you have. So bright and cheery. It is warm out today. It's warm in here. I don't know if anyone else is warm, but okay. So I'm just going to say a few words, and then if anyone else wants to speak, be happy to have you do that. Let's see here. Let me first give you this, so I don't forget. So the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce has selected Lincoln Elementary School as a Purple Star School. The Purple Star Award recognizes schools that show a major commitment to students and families connected to our nation's military. Future Forward Ohio, the state's strategic priorities for education, recognizes the importance of overcoming obstacles to learning. To be successful in school and when transitioning between school settings, Ohio's military-connected youth require supports to ensure their unique wellness and academic needs are met. The Purple Star Award signifies Lincoln's demonstrated commitment to serving these students and families. Ohio's Purple Star Advisory Board established a set of important criteria that schools must meet to be considered for a Purple Star, it's kind of hard to say, designation, and Lincoln has met that criteria. We want to congratulate them this evening, to Mrs. Early, the principal, and her staff, and members of the staff, and and the entire staff who put forth a lot of efforts to achieve this award. So if we can have a round of applause.
Okay. 32 years ago, I rose my hand and I swore to defend and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and that of the great state of Ohio. But most importantly, I did it right over here on Portage Trail. So 2008, 2009, my country gave me a nice little vacation in the Middle East. My son was attending Lincoln Elementary at the time, and I thought that the staff members just did a fantastic job, very caring, very loving. And I cannot say that I know of a city more American and more patriotic than that of Cuyahoga Falls. So I greatly appreciate all the support and all the thank yous. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi there. I would like to say thank you to everybody who's on this team, which includes Mr. Gesford, that we kind of like halfway got him up here. And this is Burke Engelhardt, his wife Kylie, and obviously Danielle Terlange. And so we have another member of our team, which is Allison Kaser, who is our guidance counselor. Part of this award is giving not only support and needs for the military families, it's also giving counseling and SEL lessons and different things like that. And that is done every day by our entire staff. So I just want to make sure that our staff is recognized as well, because it's just not the people up here, it's our entire staff. And I'd also like to say thank you to our PTA, who helps us a lot with a lot of our veterans things and military like donations and fundraisers and things that we do. And then I'd also like to thank Mrs. Dene, who is a phenomenal secretary. So all of this would not be possible without her as well. So thank you very much. And if you have served, or if you've ever served or know a veteran, thank you for everyone who has served. Thank you.
Wow. Can't miss this swarm of teachers and staff in the back, can I? I know that this is Richardson's staff. Why don't you come on, I'll come forward. Didn't I just see you all about 3 hours ago or 4 hours ago? I don't know, my day's a blur today, so. Love the shirts, very cute. Nice, very cute. I love the turnout, this is great, awesome. It's great to have all of you. All right, so the reason I have seen all of them just a few, I don't know, few hours ago, is because we went over this afternoon. The mayor actually was in attendance. Mrs. Hausman, our assistant superintendent, joined me, as well as a couple of our colleagues. And we went there because Richardson Elementary has received the Hall of Fame Award from the Ohio Association of Elementary School Administrators. And Mr. Jason Oren, who is the principal of the Louisville Middle School and the OAESA Zone 8 Director, will present this award to them. And prior to him doing so, I just want to say that, number one, I didn't have a chance to commend you on all of the decorations. They had decorations, they had dilly bars. I may have taken one on my way out and eaten it in my car before it melted. They produced a video. So board, I'm gonna ask, I'll send it to you. I'll get it from Mrs. Hall. It's approximately half an hour, I'd say. Ish, but it covers like every area, and I think you'll be quite proud to see their work that they did, so I will make sure that you see that. And the students were there, we had a couple speakers, we had the band, we had the tiger mascot. It was just amazing, and actually for a moment I slipped back in my mind and said, gosh, I missed being an elementary principal. I love doing this stuff. And then I thought, well, gosh, I don't know if I have the energy for that anymore. It's exhausting work. Those of us who are elementary people know that. But I'm very proud of them. You are going to learn what this is. This is quite an honor for the Richardson staff, and we just want to share in their excitement and let them know how proud we are. So, Mr. Warren, I'm going to have you come to the microphone.
Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight on behalf of our Executive Director, Dr. Hornberger, and our entire board. We wish to congratulate Richardson Elementary School. It is a tremendous amount of work of the entire team to receive the Hall of Fame award. Starts out by being nominated early in the school year, and then once they're nominated, the principal gets a great email congratulating them on their nomination and a huge application to fill out that takes the entire team, and we know it takes a ton of time for them to put in everything that they do for kids each and every day. Once those applications are submitted, there's a team of readers who score all the applications. Once they're scored, if they've achieved a certain score, then they move on to visitors. Visitors visit each of the nominated schools, in those schools just find out if really everything is happening that was put in the application. We'll make sure they're talking the talk, are they walking that same walk? So the visitors go in, they ask questions of the principal, teacher, community member, superintendent, and they usually spend about an entire day doing that visit. I've had the privilege of doing several visits, and you get to learn about the school and the community and just to see the excitement and the great things happening for kids. Some of the things our visitors said about Richardson Elementary. As students enter Richardson Elementary, they are greeted by an enthusiastic, smiling staff and the district mascot who exemplifies their district vision. Every student, every day, every opportunity. Our visitors commented that children and staff alike were eager, proud, and excited to share all about their school, and it was evident the adults were child-centered in every way. The emphasis on social-emotional learning, SEL, and personalized education for each student has clearly contributed to the thriving culture at Richardson. There was a tremendous amount of initiative and collaboration among the staff to learn any new information that would help their students. Examples include teachers eagerly leading book studies and staff working to pinpoint root causes of emotional and/or academic issues during both TBTs and care team meetings. In fact, the district leaders said that Richardson leads the way in implementation of new strategies in SEL and literacy. The staff certainly realizes that collaborative relationships are the key to everything, and it shows. The most impressive thing is having the entire staff here tonight, because it does take this entire team, and we know that. So congratulations, Mrs. Hall.
Mr. Oren, thank you so much, and thank you to everyone here. This team, they have worked so hard, and there's several that aren't here. We actually have about 60 staff members that come in and out of our building on a weekly basis, and each one of them puts their heart and soul into making sure that every child is learning every day by giving them every opportunity. So I think everyone that spoke tonight has said it so well. We've got such great leadership from the top, and we also are just so lucky to have great families and community partners in this journey with us. So thank you, and again, just thank you for being here this evening.
All right, well, that concludes all our awards this evening. Everybody have a great night.
No. I think we have
No, I'm
one
just
more on the
messing
book.
with you.
Well, I think as you can see, we have so many great things going on in our district, and it is Teacher Appreciation Week, and we are just humbled by the amazing things that these educators do for our students every day, and they're able to help your students thrive in the classroom, all of our families here to support their students, help them thrive at home, and we're just so excited for our top Tigers and to hear about the amazing things that they do every day. So, Dr. Selko, if you'll let us hear about these top Tigers, please.
All right, I suppose we can do that. You all sat so patiently while we recognize our adults, which are just as important because they are responsible for teaching all of you, right? So we have to award them. So, all right, well, we will start with our top Tigers. How many of you in the room, parents, family members, have had a top Tiger before and know the routine? Ooh, don't be shy. Now you raise that hand nice and proud. You have another. All right, get that up there. That's great. There you go. All right, a couple of them. That's great. So you know the routine. Do you want to come up and give the speech then, or? No. All right. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about Top Tiger. It's an award given by the Board of Education to students from each building each month. The students are chosen by various staff members in their buildings, and I get the distinct honor of reading about each one of them. I'm going to ask students for you to pay close attention to these directions, all right? So when I call your name, you're going to come up here just like the adults did, like Mr. Johnson loves being up here. So you're going to do what he did. You're going to stay right here. I'm going to read about you and what your teachers or staff members have said about you. Mr. Harris is going to be kind enough to help me give you lots of goodies that you'll hear about in a moment. And then Ms. Stewart is right behind me. We sometimes forget this step because you're eager to get back to your family because I know you're so proud, as you should be, but you need to stop over here, get a picture, and then afterwards you'll get some directions. We're going to go, once everyone has been called, we will go across the hall and get a group picture, and families, you can get some pictures then as well. All right? So we'll see how everybody does. All right. The other thing I want to mention is that we have, you'll also get this evening, part of your goodies, I'll give one of them away, is this awesome sign, right? This was given to us, Mrs. Carlisle is back there somewhere, there she is. She is our teacher union president, and they were kind enough to donate these for our students. So you can put them in your yards, or your window, or wherever you would like. But hang those or display them proudly. And also, lastly, I want to add that we've had many generous community sponsors that also just really rally around our children in the falls. And one of the organizations is our Cuyahoga Falls Schools Foundation and Alumni Association, who play a big part in helping us with this evening. So we want to thank all of them and for their encouragement to our students. And I'm going to ask Ms. Chris Schrader, who's here this evening, she's a member of our foundations, to just say a few words about what you'll receive this evening and a little bit about the foundation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Schrader, and I'm a trustee in the Cuyahoga Falls Schools Foundation and Alumni Association. I'm also a 1970 grad of Cuyahoga Falls High School. The Cuyahoga Falls Foundation is one of the sponsors of Top Tiger Award. Each year, the foundation awards over $150,000 in student scholarships, award classroom teacher grants, and help connect alumni by assisting with class reunions and class websites. We also recognize distinguished alumni and host a recognition program and reception each May, which just so happened was last night, and it was wonderful. All of our top Tigers are invited to march with us in the Memorial Day Parade. So after you get your award and you head over to the cafeteria, you're also going to get a t-shirt that you can wear in the Memorial Day Parade, so I think that's awesome. Tonight, after all the top Tigers have been recognized, like I said, you'll head over to the cafeteria, and then on behalf of the Cuyahoga Falls Schools Foundation and the Alumni Association, we congratulate each and every one of you top Tigers because you're the leaders in the future of Cuyahoga Falls High School. Thank you.
All right, well, let's get to it. Students, are you ready? Oh, my goodness. All right, if we're not ready, I'm going home. I mean, I'll be glad to get home early. Are we ready, students? Oh, my goodness, yes. If not, your parents and family are. They're like, let's get it moving. All right, here we go. Okay, we're going to start with DeWitt this evening. And our first student is Eva Marie Bando. Bando, yes. All right. Okay, Eva Marie is the perfect example of a black tiger. She comes to school every day with a positive attitude, ready to listen, learn, and participate. She follows directions and completes work and activities in a timely manner. Eva Marie is a positive light at DeWitt. She is friendly, compassionate, and helpful to others. Eva Marie demonstrates Black Tiger Pride behaviors every day and is very deserving of the Top Tiger Award. Seriously? Wow. Okay, I would have guessed at least first grade. Congratulations. All right. Our second student from DeWitt is Mason Bostic. Mason, I almost thought you weren't here. Hi, Mason. Very serious. All right, Mason is a wonderful kindergarten student, another kindergartner. He is a great role model for his classmates. When his classmates need a helping hand, Mason is willing and able to help out. You will witness Mason sharing his items and working with classroom tools alongside his friends without disruption. He is also a great teacher helper, and he is often found cleaning up supplies quietly without being asked. Oh my gosh, come to my house, Mason, anytime, and help my clean up. All right, Mason has made a lot of academic gains this year because he doesn't give up. He works to finish a task even when the skill is new and difficult, like handwriting. I'm with you. We know Mason will continue to grow and learn as he continues his education, and we ask you to keep up the good work, Mason. Good job. All right. I think he's just starstruck. Okay. All right, our next school is Lincoln, and our first student is Shalem Benia. Shalom has all the characteristics of a top tiger. He is a positive role model to his peers, displaying black tiger pride. He is hardworking, produces quality work, and he takes his job of learning very seriously. He is a great listener and always shows respect to his teachers and classmates. He is caring and kind to his friends. His favorite subjects at school are science, physical education, and outside recess. He loves his family, and he enjoys playing tag with his older brother, playing Roblox, and playing soccer. Spring is his favorite season because he loves the flowers, although he has to admire the flowers from inside due to his allergies. Shalom's wonderful personality and caring spirit make him an excellent top tiger candidate. All right, our second student from Lincoln is Prajita Asti. Prajita is a joy to have in our classroom family. She is hardworking, respectful, and kind to all of her peers and teachers. She loves her family and her little sister. That's good. At home, she likes to sing and dance to music and watch Boss Baby. I know Boss Baby. We watch it a lot. One of her talents is being able to speak 2 languages. Wonderful. She enjoys being with her friends at school, and her favorite subject is math. When she grows up, she would love to be a nurse and help kids. She is the model student for showing BTP. She is positive and enthusiastic about learning, takes responsibility for her learning, helps others when needed, and always comes to school with a smile. I can see it. She also should be very proud of herself and all of her accomplishments. Congratulations. All right, we're moving on to Preston. We have our first student is Inez Beasley. Inez, or Izzy, we go by Izzy. All right, Izzy, as all of her friends call her, has a contagious smile and a positive attitude. Sometimes her smile makes you wonder what she has been up to. But with Izzy, it is always something good. Well, that's good. Izzy is a trustworthy 5th grader who is always willing to help no matter the task. She participated in our Girls on the Run program this year, and she set the example of how to be a supportive teammate. Great. Izzy will be missed at Preston as she heads to middle school, but we can't wait to see what she accomplishes next. Congratulations, Izzy. All right, our next student is Ari Loza. I saw this name on here. I thought, yeah. Little harassment. Okay, Ari. Ari comes in each day with a positive attitude. He is a very respectful young man who strives to do his best each day. Ari sets the example on how to be cooperative and helpful, whether it is working with a fellow fifth grade peer or being a buddy to our younger students. He is also an excellent helper for Principal Brown, and she isn't sure how she will fill his shoes as he heads to the middle school next year. Congratulations, Ari. All right. Next, from Price, we have Colton Fuchs. Colton is a hard worker who always gives his best effort. When in a group, he is the best task manager, always keeping the group focused and moving. He is focused in any classroom setting. Colton always completes his work with quality. As a classmate, he encourages his friends to do their best. Colton is helpful to the teacher and is the go-to tech person to help out. Oh my gosh, can you come to my office? I seriously am having problems, I'm not kidding. People know this about me, my computer. It cannot be user error. It has to be the computer, I'm convinced. So I need your help, okay? We'll just take you out of class one day. All right, so your Price family is happy happy for you, and they want to let you know that you've done a great job, and they want to congratulate you on being Price's top tiger. Congratulations. All right. All right, I know who's next. Let's see how this goes, Mom. Okay. All right. Our next, and I didn't know her name was Carolyn, because we go by Carly. So our next student is Carolyn Roberts. We'll be very official. Carolyn, come on up. Come on, Carly. So a little fun fact about Carly. I visit Price regularly, and each time, let's see what happens here. Hi, Carly. Hi. How are you? Good. I'm so proud of you. Okay. Oh. Yes. Little story about Carly. It took a little time for her to warm up to me, because usually I get the, not so impressed with the fact that I'm the superintendent. Right, Carly? Are you like, yep, who cares? Not impressed. But the last time I was there, Mom was there. Do you remember this? Yeah. And Mom was like, she's safe. I think she said I was good peeps or something like that, right? And she said, it's okay for you to be nice to me, right? And then I got a handshake, and today I got a hug. Yes. Carly, we are doing it. I'm coming to see you soon, okay? All right, you ready to hear about you? I am too. All right. Despite being new to our school, Carly has seamlessly integrated herself into our community, radiating positivity and warmth wherever she goes, unless I'm around apparently. But Carly's spirit knows no bounds. She is always ready to extend a helping hand to both staff and fellow students, embodying the true essence of kindness and empathy. Her passion for creating art, whether it be through coloring, making posters, or crafting cards, reflects her creative flair and her desire to spread joy and positivity to those around her. Carly's dreams of becoming a chef and owning her own restaurant. Awesome, I love it. She truly embodies the core values of our school community and is a shining testament to the power of hard work, perseverance, and compassion. And let me tell you, she can hold her own. I have seen it, right? Congratulations, Carly. All right, that made my night. I'm visiting Price tomorrow. I'm going to test it out. Okay, our next school is Richardson, so we have our staff to cheer our students on. We have Nico Barcelona. Nico? All right, Nico is a consistent producer of quality work. He is always doing his best. While at Richardson, the specialists have seen his character grow and develop over many years. He is a respectful student, not only to himself, but to others. He is also generous. This year, Nico donated all of his pennies and change to Richardson's Penny Wars to purchase wreaths for our veterans. Keep shining, Nico. That is very kind. All right, our next student from Richardson is Gemma Riggins. Gemma, let's see. This top tiger is is an amazingly inclusive and kind young lady. She is always attentive and respectful to everyone she meets. Her teachers have had the pleasure of seeing her thrive academically and socially throughout the years. She is a hardworking and helpful student. This student is most definitely an example of Black Tiger pride. Congratulations. All right, moving on to Silver Lake. Our first student is James Fellows Rigo. All right, James is an excellent student. He listens and follows directions well. He works hard and always gives his best effort. He is highly committed to doing his best in all areas of the classroom, including work habits and behavior expectations. He shows excellent Black Tiger pride every day and is a classroom leader through his actions. He is also a very kind and courteous student by being respectful to his classmates and teachers while showing his excellent manners. James is truly deserving of this award. Congratulations. All right, next we have Reese Finnegan. Reese? How are you? I love the earrings, very fashionable. All right, Reese is a very kind and thoughtful student who goes above and beyond to make everyone in the classroom feel welcome and respected. Everybody see that cute face? There we go. She shows responsibility and respectfulness each day. When she arrives, she helps with classroom morning tasks and greets her classmates with a smile. Many days, she has a picture or kind note to share with a classmate or teacher to brighten their day. I'm sure they appreciate that. Reese also designated the tiger for the Black Tiger Cafe, and her designs can be seen across the district being worn by Cuyahoga Falls staff. Someone had that on today. Is anybody here with it? I saw him in a school today. I have one. Yes, she put a design on the shirt. Yes, awesome. Now I know who it is when I put it on. I know. All right. Okay, let's see where I was at. I got so excited about the shirt. Okay, so when Reese is not in school, Reese has been busy trying out karate and enjoying time with her siblings, whom she is excited will join our Black Tiger family in the future. Very good. Reese definitely deserves the honor of being a top tiger. Congratulations, Reese. Excuse me. All right, we're moving on to the middle school. We have our big kids. We're getting bigger now here, older. Our first student from Bolick is Dominic Dampier. Little known fact, my brother and my father's name was Dominic, right? I think we talked about this one time. I told them. A lot of Dominics around me. All right. Well, Dominic, let's hear. What do you think they have to say? Good stuff? I think so. Let's see. Your sisters are listening. All right. Dominic is a joy to have in class. Each and every day he comes to school with a smile on his face and is ready to learn. He is always respectful to his classmates and teachers. He is very responsible when it comes to turning in his assignments on time, asking what he missed if he was absent, and asking for help when he needs it. Awesome stuff. He is always on task, prepared for class, and ready to be the best student he can be. Good job, Dominic. All right, our next student, you guys tricked me this evening, Samantha Dampier. I forgot we had a brother-sister duo this evening. I was messing with them saying, oh, look, your brother got it, but you two girls. And then here, sure enough. Right, Mom? You got two superstars, huh? All right. Let's see what they say about you, Samantha. All right. Samantha is an amazing student in person and now a Cuyahoga Falls top tiger. Her teachers say that they are fortunate to have her. Samantha is a Black Tiger Pride student every day. She is respectful. She arrives at school on time and ready to learn with a smile on her face. I see that. And she is attentive in class. She is also kind to everyone, takes responsibility for her actions, oh, thank you, and completes her work and strives to do her best. Not only is Samantha a great student in person, but an avid reader and an amazing artist. Thank you, Samantha, for being the amazing student and person you are as you spread and share your kindness to all. Great. competition in the house. All right, next we're moving on to Roberts. We have Cadence DeLong. Cadence? Cadence exemplifies the tenets of Black Tiger Pride. She is always respectful to her peers and teachers and is a role model for our school community. Cadence manages her time and responsibilities effectively and with maturity. She consistently demonstrates a genuine desire to learn, advocates for herself, and will help others who were absent for them to understand the material that they missed. Furthermore, Cadence actively contributes to class discussions in ELA and offers insightful points. Even if faced with challenges and adversity, Cadence remains determined and resilient, approaching obstacles with a positive attitude and a willingness to learn and grow. We are excited to see Cadence flourish at the high school next year. Congratulations, good work. Next, we have Joshua Smith. All right, Joshua. You go by Josh. Yeah, okay. That's good. Whatever. Okay. All right, Josh. Well, that's what it says here, so I'm going to say Josh. Josh shows up to school every day in a great mood. All right, okay. That's with you. All right. He is ready to learn and is always willing to lend a helping hand. Josh is not only a good student by completing his work, but he engages in classroom conversations, asks thoughtful questions, and always asks if he can fill Mrs. Bond's water bottle when he goes to fill up his. That is very kind. During his free periods, Josh can be found helping other students with their work, helping teachers with tasks, and volunteering with our Special Olympians. Awesome. Are you going on Friday? Awesome. Me too. Josh is funny, caring, and a true example of a classroom leader. Congratulations, Josh. Finally, we get to the big kids. That's what happens when you're the oldest. You got to wait a little longer. All right, we're moving on to the high school, and I think we have a couple students that were not here last time. I have a couple extras on our list. So our first student is Morgan Bourne. I think she's here. Morgan is the epitome of a top tiger as she exemplifies all of the attributes that a black tiger should possess. Her ability to strive for success is uncanny. She is a young woman whose vocabulary does not contain the word quit. Her kindness and ability to bring joy to others around her is extraordinary. Morgan refuses to let life get in the way of her very lofty goals and will stop at nothing until she achieves them. That's good. She is well-spoken and thoughtful, and regardless of what adversity she is facing, she pushes through with a smile. Morgan is not afraid to speak her mind and advocate for herself and her peers. Good. Her ability to always bring her best is remarkable, and her kindness and diligence are truly tireless. Congratulations. All right. Next, we have Kostub Asti. Let's tell a little bit about Kostub. He's a hardworking student and strives to excel in every class, and while doing so, seeks to help his classmates along the way, setting a tremendous positive example for others to follow. As a student in the Academy of Medical Office and Business Management, he has served as a career technical education ambassador, engaging in recruitment activities and sharing the benefits of career education with 10th graders throughout the 6th District Compact. His attitude in all he does is one in which he shows respect. He is respectful, responsible, safe, and persevering spirit of a black tiger. So congratulations to him. I was looking to see if we had the list up there. Do we have the list? I just want to make sure. Who's working the computer this evening? Do we have the list up there? The list name? Oh, there we go. Thank you. Let me just do excuse me one moment. Commercial time out here. Okay, we're on track. All right, just wanted to make sure, because we have a couple extra, and I just wanted to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Our next student is Alexis Roman. Alexis. Alexis is a senior at Cuyahoga Falls High School. She is an honors student and participates in the cosmetology program. Alexis has already passed her state boards for cosmetology, awesome, and she has earned an honors career passport to her career program. Great. Alexis is a great role model to the other students, and we are very proud of her. Congratulations, Alexis, on being a top Tiger. Our next student is Maddie Rupert. Maddie? Our little ones are doing great in the audience. I know how it is to be squirmy. I get it. We're almost done. Doing great. Maddie has a passion for learning, a commitment to excellence, and is a wonderful role model to her peers at the high school. In the classroom, she consistently goes beyond course requirements, demonstrating great perseverance and initiative. Maddie's commitment, determination, and maturity are very impressive. In addition to being a model student in the classroom, she is involved in the Senior Executive Committee, National Honor Society, and a variety of advanced placement courses at the high school. She demonstrates a passion for learning, attention to detail, and understands the value of education, both for the present and as well for the future. Well done, Maddie. And our last student, I'm told, will not be here this evening because of a track meet, and that is Nathan Wilson. So just making sure he's not here, Nathan. All right. All right. Talk a little bit about Nathan here. Nathan Wilson is an impressive young man, a model student in the classroom, taking on challenging coursework at the advanced placement level, an accomplished and respected athlete, and a valued student leader and advocate. Nathan is in many ways the prototypical student that exudes Black Tiger pride. Nathan sets a great example both in and out of the classroom and what it means to be a respected young adult. The Social Studies Department is honored to nominate Nathan as the top Tiger as he exemplifies the outstanding student, classmate, and person that he is. So congratulations. I'm exhausted. It is so warm in here too. Is anybody else warm in here? Okay, because I got about 2 more hours I got to sit in here, so, but it's all right. We'll make it. Before we have you exit, number one, congratulations to my top Tigers. I am so extremely proud of all of you. The board honors you, and I know they are all very proud of you. Parents and family members that are here, I always close with this. It's not a coincidence that these students are up here being recognized. So you too deserve a round of applause. So congratulations to all of you. Raising children is not easy, we all know, and there's no script or handbook, right, to help us out. So whatever you are doing, keep up the great work, parents and family members as well. At this time, what we are going to have you do, including our staff and that are being recognized. Ms. Stewart, who are you doing first? Don't leave yet.
I'll probably do Lincoln and Richardson.
Okay. Okay.
And then,
Okay. Because students have to get their shirts. That'll buy you a little time to get your things. We'll get pictures, and please just join us right across on the cafeteria. Thank you again.
Very cute.
We are back for presentation number 5, literacy adoption update. Mrs. Jody Hausman.
President Gomez, Vice President Coco, board members, Dr. Selico, Mrs. Stoikroy, colleagues and community members, thank you for having me here this evening. I think pretty soon you're going to be able to teach literacy because I'm up here a lot teaching you about it. So we're going to get you a job in our classrooms here soon. So what we're going to talk a little bit about is the side of the reading road where we've been doing a book study in some of our schools about the knowledge gap, and that the knowledge gap equals the achievement gap. And so we know that what we're looking at is we've been focusing a lot on skills and phonics and phonemic awareness. You've heard a lot about that, but this is the side of the rope we haven't really talked about as much. And that our students need to build knowledge, but instead of just knowing what the main idea is, right? So, and we also know children who are under-resourced children are going to have less vocabulary development, maybe a lack of background knowledge, things of that nature. And so the program that we're going to talk about tonight, we hope will really help close those gaps. And here's that rope. Again, you know this. So Wit and Wisdom would support the language comprehension, and then these are the programs that already exist: Haggerty Foundations, Geodes, and Wilson. Okay. This is the why. So this is about House Bill 33. I took this from the OSBA website, but it tells you that we are obligated to adopt a new program on the approved list. And so this is the language that kind of informs us about that. What will be different? So our resources will support both parts of the reading rope. We will have more nonfiction to help build knowledge, which will be great, 50% or greater, depending on the grade level. We will have integrated writing performance tasks, which we haven't had, and what I would call grammar mini lessons. We will have content-rich vocabulary routines, so a lot of intentionality around vocabulary development. We will have common assessments, which we have not had, so we will focus on foundation unit assessments, which is on the phonics side, Wit and Wisdom reading assessments, and then writing performance tasks. Handwriting, and yes, cursive is still part of foundation, so that's coming on the skills side of our program. Geodes we've already had, which is a support and a complement with Wit and Wisdom, and that's our small group instruction, decodable books. And then, of course, focusing on multisyllabic skills.
Is the nonfiction tied to like the science or social studies standards for those grade levels, or is it separate?
Not 100%, I'll be honest. It's not nearly like the number we'd want it to be.
Okay.
Wit and Wisdom has been around about 10 years, and so, but it does, it does spiral. So a teacher, our level of teachers and their skills, if it is the 3 branches of government and you are doing a Civil War themed era, you will make that connect to your standards. And so what we'll try to do through our scope and sequence work is to help make those connections for them, especially in our social studies and science standards, because we know that's an area that we want to kind of fill those gaps. So good question, but it's not an exact alignment because it's a national program versus like an Ohio-based program. We still have supplemental materials beyond our core. So Wit and Wisdom is part of the core reading, but we have Wilson Reading System, which are for our students who need a very explicit support system, UFly, which our title teachers are using. Our scope and sequence, which will be revised for next year, is a great resource for our teachers. Our TBT writing collaboration, which we've been doing this year, they've been focusing on writing standards. We'll be kind of doing that again for next year. And then, of course, all the materials that Ohio Department of Education and Workforce has for us, too. This is a 19-minute video. So I can play it and just stop at a certain point, and then you can watch the rest of it. Or I'm gonna see if I can do the highlights part of the video, which is like 5 to 7 minutes. I'm just not sure what this is gonna look like from here. So I think at the bottom of the video, there's, it gives you the option to do just the highlights after you press, see it says only play highlights. Let's try that. And then if you wanna watch the whole thing later, you can. Thank you.
Or I think the sound's
The
off.
volume's not working, maybe. We should just hear a person's voice. I have a full.
Grade 3, they learn about America's rich and complex immigration history. Grade 4, they begin a series of modules in Module 3, learning about America's key conflicts. This module particularly around the Revolutionary War. Grade 5, students return to topics introduced in Grade 2, the American West and Native Americans as they study the Nez Perce Indians. Every module has an essential question that serves as a through line for inquiry, and these questions are enduring and compelling that challenges students to think beyond the literal. They're thought-provoking, transferable questions that guide students' reading, writing, thinking, and discussion over a module. And their work within this module in Grade 1 builds that deep and enduring knowledge about the power of the wind, how it has affected humans physically and emotionally, and how humans have harnessed its power. So students will learn everything from forces like wind can be strong or gentle, down to authors use descriptive words to communicate feelings and sensory perceptions, and vocabulary on a given topic so that students can read increasingly advanced text on that topic. To improve outcomes for students, we must let all kids read the good stuff. That's a quote by Sue Pimentel. Wit Wisdom includes high-quality, complex text in all modules so that all students are building that shared knowledge. In Module 1, students build knowledge about how books change lives and how people around the world access books through informational and literary picture books, such as Waiting for Biblioboro, That Book Woman, several core texts for Module 1 that articulates the lens through which students will explore text in a given lesson. And used over time, these content stages build readers' transferable habits of mind so that students are building the lifelong skills needed to access complex texts. Looking at our instructional routines, multiple times in every lesson, students speak to learn, to articulate what they are taking to others, and to deepen their thinking by listening to peers' ideas. In addition, each module includes vocabulary assessments based on key academic and content area vocab terms from the module, as well as 10 multiple choice question sets that offer students practice demonstrating comprehension and skills in a selected response format. So educators benefit from PD delivered in-house from facilitators who have taught or are currently teaching the curriculum. This includes a foundational series to kick off before day 1 of instruction, as well as module and lesson studies that can be taken for each module in order to customize to meet the needs of students. With Wit Wisdom, you have the peace of mind with a nationally recognized and intentionally designed curriculum.
Great. Thank you. If you can, take it back to the presentation. Thank you so much. Okay, so our plan, so we know that there was 2 approved programs because we already have our skilled programs. We are not using our comprehensive program where that list is much greater, but we have already invested in GEOs, Foundations, and Hegarty. So there was Wit and Wisdom, and there was Fish Tank on that list. Fish Tank is a program that came out of Boston. It was a teacher-written program years ago with a charter school system. It's brand new to Ohio. We did look at it. We met with them. It's not really tested all that much. We know Wit and Wisdom has been highly tested. nationally and in Ohio. So we felt more comfortable staying with a program that we were more familiar with, especially regarding quality. We did do an all-educator feedback survey about where we are and where we're going. We had very positive supports. We talked to the teachers at their in-service day, and then we also just had a meeting with them, just letting them know kind of where we are, where we're going, making sure they feel informed. So the way we want to approach it going into next year is to have a first followers group. So we would have representatives of every grade level, if we can, in the building to kind of test and try the full implementation of Wit and Wisdom. And then they would be sharing with their colleagues and peers, you know, opportunities where they come in their classroom and see what they're doing, talk to, ask questions. The reason why we're kind of doing a slow rollout next year is we want to provide time for all teachers to kind of get going. We feel if we do a full rollout in August and the revision in math, we thought that's just too much. Now some teachers will be like, we all want to do it, we're ready to go, we're ready to go. And I told them, I said, we will follow you, but we're going to start here, and then as things, if it changes along through the year, we'll go ahead and support them. We also, this group will have a little bit more training, but all teachers will have training on their teacher manuals next year. Yes.
So the first followers, is that in every building?
Yes.
At every level?
We're hoping, we're trying to make it more voluntary. We don't want anyone to feel forced.
Well, now, some of our buildings vary in size, so, you know, like,
Correct.
we have Crestline and Silver Lake where, you know, we have
Yes.
much less
Or
options
you have
of
one teacher that
educators.
teaches for a couple grade levels,
Yes.
and so yes. Mhm.
You know, like, we have one teacher that teaches at 5th grade,
Right.
so that's who it would be at.
Correct. But
Preston.
if they feel very hesitant about it, then we'll try to honor
Okay.
where they are and move them forward. So everyone will have materials by second semester, that we'll start getting those materials, and they'll, at their early release day, they'll have training on their teacher manuals, which you have examples of from tonight. So they'll have time to kind of get used to it. There's a lot of intentional lesson planning. This is not the type of series that's like a basal reader, like a Journeys was, where you kind of know step through the 90-minute lesson, kind of what your options are. This definitely requires teachers to understand how the framework of the lesson plan is and how to develop their thinking and how they're going to approach vocabulary development, the writing tasks, and so forth.
I have a what-if question.
Sure.
From an equity standpoint, what if we see this having a huge impact on the students in these first followers classroom? How do we handle that as a district? Because now we've got kids in this 2nd grade classroom going straight far, achieving ahead of these kids over here that aren't being provided these same resources.
I predict what will happen is all the teachers, we're going to ask them to do the writing tasks, and that will be in the scope and sequence. And through their TVT time, they'll be talking about it. So we'll see how slow or how fast we'll be going. So it'll be a little bit different than a pilot, but we've done pilots before where we're wondering, are kids growing more so than the other one? So you're right, it might feel sometimes like an action research project, but like anything, we don't want it to be so impactful that we're going to lose out. But again, I'm just trying to let some of the teachers lead on the pacing so that we don't overwhelm them at the beginning of the year.
I see both, because with the math, I think that's very important, and we've heard from our educators, so I think that's a very important point as well. But then, when we implemented our reading program, we saw these huge gains as well. So then on the other side, it's always a balancing act.
Yeah, we're going to stay in touch with everybody closely, and I'll give you updates for sure. So.
Thank you.
We also, so I talked about the performance tasks, and so I finished that slide, so there we go. This is just kind of a typical lesson format. These are the key components that you'll see in your examples, your books there, but you can see that it is diving into that language experience for our students and the essential meanings behind the text and the deeper meaning behind what they're reading. Here again is what teachers receive and then what students receive. So there is a digital teacher edition. There are, get started guided videos to prompt things. This is not a super rich tech platform, but it does have some. And then also with our students, you have daily videos, vocabulary videos, and there's family tip sheets, which I'll highlight in your folder. Here's an example of the print materials. What's interesting about Wit and Wisdom is it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So if there's a book, everyone has access to that book. It's not just small group instruction type books. Here's an example of the types of titles you would see. So this is kindergarten, and it has the different grade levels. And you'll see many of these books are classics. Chicka Chicka Boom Boom is a classic, right? Everybody knows it. So Tomas and the Library Lady is definitely Green Eggs and Ham. The Little Yellow Leaf and some of those, Amos and Boris. So there's quite a few more classic titles in Wit and Wisdom. Okay.
Are these books provided with the program? Or just
Yes.
we'll have additional?
We will.
That is
Physical
a nice addition.
They are books. They'll hold those books.
Good.
Mhm.
That is nice because we'll have even more books coming in.
We will. And the Fontes and Pinnell books, we will be doing kind of like theme set. So if teachers can use those in other opportunities in their classroom, they'll have a book room that they can go to and use those books. So those will be still available. The difference with Fontes and Pinnell, a lot of those texts were written by the publisher. These are actual trade books is what they're called. Like you would check them out in the library. Parent engagement, so we will be sending out a message to parents tomorrow saying we'd like to hear, if you'd like to learn more about it, we'll give that 2-week review, have a survey for them to complete, and then they can come up and see something in person with us, or they can look online digitally if a parent chooses to do so.
When you go back to this Module 1 Core Text Library, what does that mean, like Module 1 Core Text Library? Like,
So,
how many of these, like, lists of books are there?
yeah, so in the, there's a lot of lists of books. So in the contract, you'll see all those titles
Oh,
that are per grade level.
okay.
And so we can share that with you so you can look at that contract. And we did submit that with the rationale. I'm not sure when you see that, but I can even put that in our Friday notes. Yep. And then if you want to go online, here's you can access and look at more in detail, or you can go back and listen to the 19-minute video that I sped through in 5 or 6 minutes. And then in your folder, just in case if you just want to see some highlights, you'll see the themes are on the right, so it has the colored themes by grade level. That was in the presentation. Behind those themes, you'll see the information about the knowledge building. It gives you examples of tasks, and it has student exemplar samples in there. And then at the very end, this is just for Mrs. White, there is the writing essential question, the type of writing, and the task by grade level. So those are all there, so a writing packet at on the right. Then on the left, we have geodes already, but that's just a reminder to tell you how geodes complements Wit and Wisdom. And then the tips for families, it kind of takes you through the different ways that we can support families with Wit and Wisdom. Now, after 3 years or 4 years, you know, we might be at a different point in decision-making. Do we want to stay with this type of program, or do we want to transition to the comprehensive program where everything is all in one? It's just right now that didn't seem like the best option since we've already invested resources in the other things. So. Any other questions or thoughts? I'd be happy to entertain.
Well, I do have some thoughts.
Yes, please.
I am really excited because I love the fact that they're doing units with essential questions, you know, key concepts, essential questions, and then, of course, they're reading. And when I was looking through here, they're reading fiction, nonfiction, poetry, all kinds. I would even suggest maybe lyrics, if you can find it, to bring that music piece in.
Yeah.
But I just really, they're novel, scientific text, a painting, so they're looking at art and images and poems, videos, biographies. I just am so excited. The reading goals, the writing goals, the writing throughout, it just, yeah, that really is
It's one of the most robust writing programs
I'm so happy
in a
to
language
hear that, which
comprehension
you
program.
knew I would be. I
It is
appreciate
also
that.
fairly rigorous, so we
Wow.
will be working with our
Good.
teachers to help them understand that we're gonna be scaffolding, but we
Yeah.
cannot
Yes.
lower the expectations, and children will rise to the occasion, but in the beginning, it will feel
Little
like a
hard.
stretch for us. But we'll close that gap.
But I think with the essential question and then they're reading everything about that one concept, it ties it in. I've seen this work.
Yeah.
And it's really something, how they connect everything. And it's just really neat, as long as they have appropriate vocabulary, background knowledge, all that. But it's just, I'm just really excited about this. And anytime you need a reader, I will be happy to come in and
Yes.
read. I'm sure the rest of us
Yes,
would as well.
That would be fun.
I love reading to little
Yeah,
ones, so, yeah, give us a call. I'm
Okay.
free. And I'm just very excited and happy to see writing across the curriculum. To me, that is so important. I can't tell you how important that is. I think that will boost our scores.
Ms. White, I have here, grade 2, module 3. Our class will listen to these songs, and they
Yeah,
list
there you
3
go.
songs
Yeah,
in
good,
here
good.
that they'll listen to. They have articles
Yes.
near and dear to your heart
Yes.
that second graders will be reading.
Wait, she might lose her job if we bring the children up here to read
Yes.
their articles,
Yeah.
right?
And they also, it talks about paintings that
Yeah,
they're gonna
that's-
analyze.
I know, yeah, I think
So
it's
I really like
wonderful.
that.
Yeah, it is. It's really
And-
a good
Well, we know
beginning.
with No Child Left Behind, writing was left behind.
Yes, it was, and I, you know.
And we're bringing that back, right?
Yes,
And,
I'm so happy. I think
so
it'll make a big difference.
It's like anything that we've learned in education is what's the balance between our skills and our knowledge building? And sometimes we teeter too much
Yeah.
one way or the other, and
Yes.
hopefully this will get us just right.
Yes,
But-
and, you know, too, it's just so neat, because I think if they're learning, like, the songs, they can also move then.
Yeah,
So you
that's
get
right.
that movement in
Yeah.
there that they need, and I just, it's really good. It's a really, I think, will be good, so, okay.
And I think the challenge is, for the curriculum department, is if we are talking about tying paintings to reading, tying songs to reading, movement to the songs, that we can see how our gym class,
Yes.
our art class, our music class could all be part of this. So that's a challenge we can set forth for our curriculum department to see how we can get these other classes invested in supporting what's going on. Because I think when those classes that the kids get really excited for, a break from
Yeah.
the reading class, are supporting what they're doing in reading, get involved in that, we can see really positive growth as well. And I think that this supports all of that by having all those things in there. So that's a good challenge to lay
I
down for curriculum.
currently sing a song that I learned in 5th grade to my granddaughter Vivian to put her to sleep, and my daughter, how do you know that song, Mom? I said, 5th grade music class, and I know every word. And so, yeah, so you never know what
Yeah.
song is
Yeah.
gonna gonna stick with you the rest of your life.
Yeah, I
So-
had a little girl that was not mine, but I used to babysit for, and she, 20, 30 years later, she goes, your mom, is she still singing Happy Talk? I'm going, oh my God, she remembered that. And I do the little, things as well. But they remember those things. It sticks with them. And just the integration. And earlier at the DLT, the one group I was with, how do we get art and the music and into the curriculum? So I think this will be real exciting for them.
Because
So
I
thank
think
you.
when we say reading and writing across the curriculum, it doesn't mean that we want kids sitting in gym class reading books.
No.
But is there a way that
some
gym
would like to do
teacher?
that.
Yeah. But is there a way that gym teacher knows of that song that is tied to their curriculum and can play that song while they're dribbling the basketball, and then can make those connections? And I think when we can have that sort of synergy across all these things, that's when we can instill a love of learning in kids for reading, because they can see how it makes connections to all these other things that they already naturally have a passion for.
And I want to shout out to our teachers and our principals. They have been so gracious and open as we work through this process and this change that we're going through. They've been really, really supportive and just the consummate professionals. I want to thank my partner in crime, Ms. Dudone's out there. She's been very supportive, keeping us all on track and helping with everything too. So we're excited, and we'll just keep you in the loop as we move forward. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send us a quick email.
This
We'd
was
be
a
glad to
really
help.
good book too, The Knowledge Gap.
Yes.
I did have it and read it,
Yes.
and it's really good. I know, I read everything, but it was good.
It is good.
So, thank you.
And I mean, we understand the process that got us here. The state, for the first time in history, decided to tell us what curriculum we had to use. And it is what it is. We are where we are. They get to write laws, and it is the situation that we're in. We probably would have preferred that it not be the case, but at the same time, we can choose to be upset about it, or we can choose to try to find the best way to make opportunities for our students to grow. And I appreciate what our district has done to say, we might not be happy about how it happened, but we're gonna use this opportunity to try to find the best resources for our students, to work with our educators to try to find the best path forward for our students. And that's all that we can ask. I do think Mrs. Schaefer has something to say, so I wanna make sure I don't miss her point.
When I was looking through for the books to read at home, I would love to have those books in our library, the school libraries. But that maybe, that's a lot to add at one time, but.
Right, we can look at that, or also partner with the public library if we don't have all those books.
If I could just add one other point, I'll probably say it again when we come up to the contract. First of all, thanks, Mrs. Hausman. Because this is a state mandated, request, not even a request, they're telling us we have to do this. So as a result, we have to pay for it. And, a lot of times we get unfunded mandates, many times it's to the tune of, it costs us a couple $1,000s here, $10,000 here, manageable things. This expense is costing us several $100,000, and we have no control over it. We are getting a portion of it. So while I welcome the opportunity to use the best product and research-based program for our children, as superintendent, I must advocate for us, and I have continued to, and I will continue to call high as up as I need to go until I get the answers I really want to hear a little bit more about. But this is just one of those challenges that, while we're getting a portion of it, we're not getting nearly the amount that we need to cover the cost. And we know these things are very expensive. And the last thing I just want to mention, so I will continue to advocate on our behalf, but Mrs. Hausman, you don't ever want to negotiate with her. So she has saved us like at $70,000.
Yeah, about 70.
$70,000. So yes. We have a little standing joke at cabinet. We're all afraid of her, so we don't want to negotiate with her. But
We're putting her on the next change order, Jeff.
actually, Mrs. Carlisle, look out! We're putting her on the negotiations team.
There you go.
Oh.
I don't know how far we'd get her there, but change orders, Jeff, I think we can. I think that one we can probably make some progress on.
Yeah, if you think I'm tough, Jeff, you haven't met her yet.
My second grade teacher voice is sometimes.
Oh, it's deceiving. Don't let her fool you.
She's
Thank
just
you
so
so much,
sweet
Ms.
and nice to me. And I said, you're so sweet and kind to me. I mean, every time I have a question, you're always there with everything, so. I don't see that side. I know.
Thank you. Brings us to item E, which is Treasurer CFO's business consent agenda. Ms. Stoikoi.
Excuse. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve all items listed in the treasurer's consent agenda.
So moved. Second?
Any discussion? Ms. Stoikoi?
Yeah. Who seconded that?
Ms. Coco.
It's not opening up where.
Yeah, the internet's.
Yeah, mine's spinning
Yeah.
too.
So, let's see if well, we're just gonna wing this then, because I don't know if this is gonna come up for me to, there it goes.
I have
Yeah.
paper. So we have a number of generous donations for the Richardson Hall of Fame announcement, a distributor website check for the swimming program, and then we're starting to get check towards the planetarium. Probably see some more of towards the planetarium on our next agenda as well. The amended appropriations.
Yes, so the amended appropriations is just for, one fund, Fund 499, Mr. Gusford, he's here anymore, but he's talked about a lot tonight, but he got another safety grant for us. And so in order to expend those funds, we needed to increase, those state grant fund, line items. So that is the only change on that.
And then the transfers for the athletics.
And then the transfers for athletics, so there's a number, so previously, as you know, the athletic, and we've talked about this before, so the general athletic fund, which is that 300 fund with the 9100 special cost center. So previously, up until this year, any fundraising things that happened by individual teams all went into this same, they went into special line items, but there's no way to keep track of the cash balance necessarily in each of them unless you do it by hand. And so we made the decision this year to move those, each sport fundraisers into their own like special fund, special cost center, so that nobody needs to keep track of it by hand or worry, and it gives us a little more accountability of them filling out purpose and goals and having a better handle on fundraisers and making sure they're doing everything appropriately. So there were still some running balances in the general athletic fund that we needed to spend out. We spent out some of them, but as we get close to the end of the year, I don't want to keep doing this. And so these are the funds that still have a running balance. We're going to transfer them to their individual accounts so that it's just all clean. And going into next year, they all have their money set aside in those individual accounts, and there's no crossover with the general athletics. So we'll have a better idea of, what's actually being spent in general athletic versus what's, fundraised for versus, things like that. So these were just the amounts that were left.
Any questions or comments from the board? I really appreciate the work that your department's doing with all these athletic funds. It is a question I do get from time to time from people about how you account for that, and I do tell them you keep them all separately, but having this added layer of separation, I do think people appreciate that because it makes it even easier for them to understand, oh, I raised, $100 for my kids' tennis team, and I know it's going right to the tennis team, and people really appreciate knowing that, and knowing that level of transparency that your office provides, and the, I'm sure, countless hours of work that you went into presenting this really nice one-page piece of paper to us to vote on tonight, so we appreciate it.
And as a precursor to next meeting, when you see the end of April reports for athletics, it appears, because that's how we close the month, that it is in the negative. It is not in the negative. Some things were coded incorrectly, and we had reached out a couple times and then finally got like, oh, we were using the wrong code. So they should have been using these new codes, and we're not. So we've made those corrections now and got everything charged to the right place. So there's no cause for alarm by looking at that report. It just didn't get handled till the beginning of this month.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Gomez.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer.
Aye.
Ms. White.
Aye.
Ms. Coco.
Aye.
Thank you. Item F is Treasurer CFO's business comments.
I don't have much. Budgets are due on Friday. It's a little bit earlier this year for all departments and buildings. So we will be, in order for me to review them and get those back to them before they leave. And it gives me a little bit of time in between now and the July and end of June meetings to prepare for those, to make sure everything's set up. We had done it in June in the past, and it just started to cut it a little close, especially with different people taking vacations, and then perhaps me having questions once administrators are gone, those that leave for a little bit over the summer. So those are due on Friday, and we're approaching that year-end close. So I will have the 5-year forecast at next meeting, and I hope to get that out to you guys by next week.
Thank you. Item G is Superintendent CO's Business Consent Agenda. Dr. Selico.
Thank you. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the items as listed in the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Dr. Selico?
All right, we have a number of things happening here. So first off, under personnel, we have a number of routine items, but we also have here is, again, customary is limited contracts, as well as our continuing contracts. So congratulations, provided they get your approval this evening, to the teachers who have earned that status. We also have some retirements worth noting. We have Cheryl Bruce, who is here earlier. She's a Richardson teacher. Would like to just say, I got to know Cheryl a few times. She's come and volunteered for different service learning projects that we've done, and appreciated her help at different holiday times and things like that. She's volunteered her time, and so we do appreciate her. And we also have Lila Shannon, who has been at the high school for quite some time, yes, as a secretary. And so she was one of the first people I met, actually, when I got here. She took me where I needed to go, which I know, I wasn't really lost, just for the record. I just came in the board. She happened to be standing there. Next, we have for your approval this evening, your consideration are the administrative contracts. We have a number of administrators as listed there, and again, as you heard earlier, I think from Mr. Johnson about, just the notion of teamwork that we are really trying to promote here, and getting our team together and working and supporting those in the buildings. We take that very seriously, and so I really am proud of them and would like to make those recommendations to you this evening. We also have in our handbook some changes there. These are just to, and it coincides with the job description you see there for the multilingual and multicultural education specialist, as well as the gifted specialist. So those are not administrative, but they're gonna go in that specialist category, so kind of quasi-administrative positions there. So we added those to the handbook. And we also have some contracts this evening, one regarding some support with EMIS, another with the music education programming and resources. We also have some leases and agreements. The Shanae, as I had mentioned to you, we were going to have it reviewed from an attorney. It's been out there for many, many years and has not been reviewed, and we felt it was time to do that. So we did make it a lot cleaner. And then we have the SEI, Summit Education Initiative. That's our data sharing agreement that we do every year. And our visualization, they would like to lock into that photography business, in that they've done a good job for 3 years. So every principal is very satisfied with their product. And then lastly, we have a contract for the interpreters. I think I've covered just about everything.
Questions or comments from the board? I'm really interested in what they find out from working with North Central, how ESC, Mrs. Hausman was talking about some of the work they're going to dig into in our EMIS coding as it relates to our report card data. And there's been a lot of articles written about how report card data and EMIS data communicate and report in actually the news media, and whether or not that's accurate or not. And so there's some concerns as to whether or not what we're submitting is accurate. And so they want to dig into that and see if that's negatively impacting our report card results. So it's just another whole layer of that report card piece, is the data that you as a district submit to them. So
Yeah, and
my
thank you for mentioning that.
process
Yeah.
brain very much appreciates stuff like that. So I'm very intrigued by what we may come up with from there.
Well, as we
So-
know, Mrs. Hausman has brought great value, but one of the things she's brought value to our district in is her knowledge in EMIS. And just, even if she doesn't know, she's like, keeps digging and digging and digging, and really revealing a lot of things that, you know, what we find is that we sometimes get stuck in a rut, and we do the same things over and over, and just because we've always done them that way doesn't mean that they always have to continue to be done that way. And so we're just finding, you know, unearthing some things that really, it's amazing. You heard Ms. Stoikoy say something about coding, and look at what it did, how the impact it has. So it's the same thing as it relates to our funding, to our report cards. So we might see our attendance, we might see improvements just based on ways we've been doing things and reporting them. So I'm happy to have her, her guidance on that, even though sometimes I get lots of messages about it, and I say, Mrs. Hausman, when are you ever gonna come with some good news for me, right? But, I do appreciate her knowledge in that area.
It'll be very interesting. Any other questions or comments? Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye. Item H, Superintendent CEO's business, Dr. Selka.
Thank you. In my computer, there it is, okay. It's not working well today. All right, it is recommended that the Board of Education grants the Cuyahoga Falls City School District high school diplomas to the following students contingent upon their successful fulfillment of all State of Ohio and Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education adopted requirements.
So moved. Second.
Very exciting, right? So we're happy to look at the list of names, and even more excited for May 21st to see our students walk across the stage.
I have a question, because we always usually ask around this time
Yep.
here. What's our graduation rate looking like? And then, in terms of that, do we have that report on who's not making it and root causes?
We don't yet, because
Okay.
there's still time to get them across the finish line.
Okay.
So once the list is final, then we'll get that
Okay.
information. But I did ask Mr. Smith, they haven't really dug deeply, as he's thinking though around 90%, in that 90% passing, or I'm sorry, graduation rate.
That's a dip.
Well, right now we have 88, we're hoping, we don't know we're projecting that we're gonna have 91, 92 on last year's graduates, because remember, everything's in the rears, so. And then this one, we won't even see until the next report card.
So,
Yeah, it's a little tricky how you have to
Yeah.
keep that in mind, yeah. But it'll be around the same, maybe a little bit, depending on what comes out in this report card this summer.
so we'll be interested in digging deeper and
Yep.
seeing what those causes are and what additional supports we can try to look at to help our students. But we're very excited for these ones. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye. And your comments?
A few things to note. One is, I think Mr. Harris said earlier, it's Staff Appreciation Week. Again, gratitude and appreciation for all of our staff, including administrators and all of our classified and certified staff. We are, if you probably have gotten emails from Ms. Stewart with her Wheel of Fortune, and we have a number of people that have contributed to our awards for our staff this week. And tomorrow, our team of administrators at Central Office will be delivering, going around with our carts. I will be at Lincoln with Mr. Jones, delivering, we bought a bunch of treats that each person can come out of their classroom and pick a treat from the cart, or their department, so we will cover all departments. So, we'll be doing that tomorrow. I already,
As fun as prize.
won't be as fun as prize, oh, Ms. Stoikoy must be going
Do you
here.
have something planned?
I hope she dresses up, that would
So you
be
tell
fun.
us after the meeting? Okay, thank you.
All right.
Will there be video for my dinner? Is Joanne going?
Yes.
Oh, boy, it's gonna be
That's all that
something.
needed to be
Yep, now we're.
I'm assuming she's at Mr. Fun's as we speak.
Not a bad guess. As I mentioned, the graduation is coming up on the 21st, so excited for that. You may have read, recently I put out a letter regarding bullying to our parents and families. Just one, defining bullying. I think we misuse that term by definition. It may feel that a lot of things that happen in our schools or to our own children may feel bullied, but it might just be someone really being unkind or frankly mean to one another or conflict related. So we kind of did some defining of that, as well as putting together a plan, which won't help us this much this year, which I want to say we have already done a number of things to address bullying in our schools. What we haven't probably done a well enough job in doing is communicating to our families what we're doing. So we have a plan for that next year. That will go out early in the year. Mr. Elder and Mrs. Merkel have been working on that, so we have a nice concrete plan that we can institute next year, but will take some work. So I'd like to get that out early to parents. Similarly, I will be tackling attendance. I've met now with several higher ups regarding attendance at both the county level and in our Cuyahoga Falls Police Department. We met with Amber from the diversion program. We think we have some really good ideas on how we can tackle some steps that we can implement that we haven't in the past relative to improving our attendance. You know, I have a passion and a determination to get our students in school. We also have next week our business advisory breakfast at Stowe at Joshua's. And we'll also wrap up some items that we have left outstanding. We have some good news and some ground that we made. Ms. Dudones who left, but she has been real helpful in some opportunities for our students for internships. And leading into internships, my last thing is that I attended a Project Search luncheon today, which was very enjoyable to see our special needs students graduate from their intern programs at Summa Hospital, which just kudos to them again for the partnership, and that they place our students. They go through internships, and then many of them that we got to hear, I met 3 of them. I sat at their table today, 3 of our young men. 2 out of the 3 have jobs already lined up. So it was a very touching ceremony. So that made my day. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you. Shouldn't mention serving popcorn
I know,
at
right?
the art walk because she was
Oh, I'll mention
out-scooped,
I'll
but
But I had some very important people come, Leslie being one.
Oh, you got Leslie?
I did. She felt bad for me probably because she comes here
Because
every
there
day.
was no
And you hear them pick on me.
because there was no
We
line.
just got done talking about bullying.
Wait till there's no line.
Item I is board business. Number 1 is a change order with Hammond Incorporated. It's recommended the Board of Education approves the change order for the 612 campus auditorium sound system.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Should I invite them up now? Do you want to start?
Certainly, if you want to turn to them. Well, I guess I'll say, I'll
You wanna
preface
start?
it
Yeah.
by saying, let me just, so we, as you know, we had a change order presented to us that was a really large number that really I didn't feel we wanted to approve, or on your behalf, I wanted to look at that number again. We had some, the original designs were not to what I felt, nor did our group feel would be sufficient for this amazing performing arts center that we're going to have. So we went out and did our own due diligence in looking at other auditoriums and found that there was, of course, you see what you want, which is, the Cadillac version that I refer to it as. And by the time that number came back to us, it was not affordable, frankly. And so we asked TDA and Hammond to go back and do a little extra work, sharpen their pencils, and come back with other suggestions. They gave us about 2 or 3 options, of which we felt one was only viable and the best option, which is just to scale back. It'll save us about $60,000, $70,000. And then, but it still will be a premium sound system, and it will still be also the pathways, that's the term they use, will be in place that in the future, if we got a donation, for example, for more speakers, we could add them to the mezzanine level. But our team is satisfied that at this cost, will be sufficient and amazing, just not as amazing as the Cadillac version. So, how'd I do, guys?
You did great.
Yeah.
Excellent explanation as well.
Oh,
Is there anything more to add?
No, it's just an enhancement to what it is. It will be awesome, and we know how important that is to you, so I think that was working.
I think as a board, we asked some questions about how it compares or contrasts to our current system, but I think at the same time, in evaluating those answers, they also, talked about how the auditorium compares, but also contrasts with the current auditorium. It is a little bit smaller, so while the speakers are a little bit less than what we have in our current auditorium is larger than the auditorium we're building, so they feel that the sound quality will be comparable to the sound quality that is provided in our current auditorium. And I think that was very important to us as a board to get that information. So they can't say it's the same, but they also wanted us to understand that the auditorium is not the same auditorium. So those were the kind of questions as a board that we asked to make sure that we felt comfortable, because we know how important this Performing Arts Center is to our community, how much effort we made to make sure that we could still make it happen for our community, and that we don't want anyone who highly values that Performing Arts Center to feel like they're getting less than. We believe we're getting the same as, with opportunities to even grow it further should that happen in the future. And that's our full understanding of what we're voting on and why we feel comfortable moving forward. Any other questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris? Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, the next three items are in reference to our handbooks. We moved these to discussion items because we had there was a lot of going back and forth about these, and as a board, and I think administration as well, I talked to Dr. Selico and let the board know that we were gonna go to discussion, because I think we were just not quite sure where we were at on some of these. But I think by having the discussion, hopefully we can get to more understanding of where we currently sit, so that we can understand where we may have questions, so that hopefully in 2 weeks we can be at a place to vote. And I think we were all in favor of that process, was my understanding. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, so just wanted to clarify where we're at. So if we want to start with the elementary handbook.
Yeah, if I can just get us started
Yeah.
here, and I know Mr. Elder is here to field questions. So, you know, as Mr. Gomez, he kind of like read my mind this morning, because I was going to be reaching out to him. I wasn't comfortable presenting this. Again, I think there were so many moving parts, and this is in my own departments, and trying to figure out with the change from Mrs. Dudon's going over to the Student Services Department, and new people in those seats, and then new principals, and understanding the process. We're gonna do a whole lot better on this next year, and I do appreciate the work that they've been doing. There are a lot of changes, and what happens is principals come up with suggestions, or staff, we've had, you know, people suggest things at the building levels, and then they come to us, and, you know, we've already had the ball in, you know, going down the court, or we're already, you know, in, already forging ahead with certain things. So we kind of had to pump the brakes on some things, as well as we're in the middle of, like, we've had some changes to policies, and then sort of trying to embed those in there. So overall, I'm gonna give you just an overview of the areas that we've been talking about, and then we can, if you wanna go one by one. But we were tackling some of the things regarded to, as you are aware, the attendance. So that was related to a policy change, that excused, unexcused. We were also looking at the grading, so I think that was an easy fix. I think we were able to do that successfully. One of the things that frankly was a little bit of an oversight, and we discovered in my one-on-one meeting with Mr. Hutch, who reminded me, that's right, he's not here tonight. We were talking about badges, and I said, oh, that is something that should go in the handbook. So that was like a really, like, kind of a late addition, but it just struck me that it probably belongs in here, and I looked, and I recall in other districts, we had it in our handbooks. So we are going with our security efforts. We want, especially when we get into the new buildings, 6 through 12, we're gonna make mandatory badges that the students have to wear them. And it will be connected to other things. So if you wanna buy your lunch that day, you need your card. If you want to get a library book out, or, you know, you'll need your badge. So that was one part that we added late, and I do apologize for that. There's some, the identimetrics.
That's elementary.
Yeah, so there's your elementary. So I think we did add a portion in there, and that was Mr. I think Elder's suggestion. And then some dress code things to shore up a little bit. We have some feedback from staff and principals regarding, like, for lack of a better word, this is elementary, the Croc type shoes that are just for safety. You know, students, especially at elementary, are outside on the playground. They're doing more activity than our older students, so safety is a little bit more important at that age. So that was one of the requests, that they not be allowed to wear those. Hoodies, there was a lot of discussion about hoods and hoodies. So for clarification, we are not trying to do away with hoodies, but students wearing hoods. So we permitted it this year, we thought we'd give it a try, but what we have found, and again with the addition of our security efforts and investigating and looking at cameras, some students who have hoodies on, and if you add a mask, which some students still wear, or hair covered, like, it's really difficult to identify students who may be involved in little mischief or big mischief. So we're really going to ask that hoods not be allowed, they can wear the hoodies, they can't wear the hoods. Book bags were also another large item of discussion, and this came from our middle schools as well. And having visited Roberts, you probably see now, again, I'll say it again, is why book bags are not a good idea in the classrooms. They're tripping hazards, there's no room, we don't even have room for students, let
Is
alone
that
in
just
desks.
at the middle school?
So middle schools, we would not permit the book bags. Now, what we wanted to do was have it all on the same page. We are going to have to make some decisions the next year, because as we all go, we want these to be consistent. But high school still, the staff allow book bags because it's a little different. They don't use their lockers the way kids used to. So that would still be permissible at the high school, but we just don't have the room in middle school to permit that right now. And then electronic devices, really around the cell phones, as you know how I feel about the cell phones and what I'd like to see in the future. So we have changed some language there, proposed language. Excuse me. Our policy we need to look at just a little bit, but there's some language in there like as a general rule. Well, I don't want it to be a general rule. I want it to be, this is definitive about cell phones. A lot of it, taking it out of the teacher's hands or staff and putting the onus on principals to enforce and to permit when they can and cannot be used. So the teachers aren't put in a bad situation. It's administratively, this is what we're saying will happen with cell phones. So some issues, some things there that we looked at, and then just some codes with the code of conduct. I don't love some of our coding as it was, and I learn about this, I hear about this from parents a lot in expulsion hearings, when we use such strong language like assault and battery, when it might just be a little fight kind of a thing, and it really doesn't apply, and so I'll make some accommodations or some revisions to that. But we're looking at putting a physical aggression kind of category and a fighting, like having them we used to rank severity of fights, like I want to do away with that. I just want it fight and physical aggression. So if two children get in a pushing match, it's not a fight per se, but it might be physical aggression and can still result in suspension depending on, or a different outcome. But those, we wanted to make some distinction there. And then Mr. Smith came in with some changes to the senior flex pass. And so those were.
Well, we already approved that in the.
That one's good, okay.
We approved the flex pass back in the scheduling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, I have a note here for that one, but
It was in the.
Yeah. Program of studies.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we approved that change then.
So that's an overview. Those were some of the questions. Bug.
Well, I think what the difficulty we were having is that we had this on Friday, which was, we could follow, but then it was a clean copy on here, and then things were getting updated here, and then we were trying to follow along. So it was hard for us to know what was or wasn't being changed, so that we just needed a little more time to understand.
Understood.
And then some of the changes we weren't quite certain about, and I think wanted to have some discussion, ask some questions about. And then also, like, even as we go forward, I'm not sure everything always will have to be the same, because in the 6-12 building, the 6 through 8 portion is very different from the 9 through 12 portion. Like, in the 6-8 portion, they're in those little cubbies all day, and the pods with the little tiny lockers. And the 9-12 portion is very different. So the book bag policy may, I mean, having it be the same might not necessarily make sense. I understand, but we've also talked about the importance of making sure high school feels different than middle school for those students. So,
so there might be some difference there.
So I don't think
Yeah.
some differences I don't think are a bad thing, 'cause we do want high schoolers to feel like high schoolers and middle schoolers to feel
That's a
like
good point.
middle schoolers. So
Yes.
Then we're gonna have to change the cell phone policy when the governor signs the bill. won't
well,
we?
the bill only says that we have to have a policy.
Oh, okay, it doesn't say what exactly.
No.
That's right.
But
You
we're
can have a
gonna
policy
look
that
into
says you
that.
let your kids use them anytime you want. It just says you have to have a
Okay,
policy.
thank you.
Yeah.
But we will look into that
Yeah.
We are looking into that.
We are.
And then I wanted to, do we have an AI policy anywhere, or, no?
An AI specific, I think I think
Okay.
that was proposed. There might be
Okay,
an idea that we need to have one, but I don't think we have one as is.
bless you,
Like,
okay.
Patty, you're talking about like student use of it?
Yeah, or,
Yeah.
well, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So are you thinking that would go in a handbook maybe?
Well, if we get a policy.
Yeah, no, it's good thinking.
It's a
I
good
think
question
kids
for
are
Ryan.
confused of whether Grammarly is AI.
Yep.
Or if they can use it, or what. This is what I'm hearing from a couple kids.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So,
it is.
I just wondered if there's something we need to do on
I
that. I
will
know,
follow.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
what the
mean-
boundary is. That is a
Yeah.
good
Yeah,
that's a good
question.
idea, it
of
is.
what-
So, yeah, I think we need to
Absolutely.
look at AI
I will
policy.
follow.
I have no idea, I don't know, but, hey,
Good
kids
note.
do. So, yeah, I just thought I'd mention
We
that
wanna
too.
sit for a moment with the elementary school one and see if we have any specific questions on that one. I do. So when we have the excused versus unexcused absences beyond the 10 days, there is policy on that, so there should be a policy link and reference there. Cause that comes from policy. I think that's page 8. And then I have a question, and I don't even know if we covered this in policy, but I'm thinking of it now. Their hours when they, if they have an appointment or anything, those hours would apply to that as well, wouldn't it?
The hours for the,
Like I'm pulling my student out because they have a dentist appointment and I'm pulling out. So that should probably be covered. Doctors, cause this is talking about days. And then it says 65 hours in parentheses. I don't know.
yeah, so we wanted to cover the fact that now, and EMIS, as opposed to calculating attendance by days, it's actually calculated by hours. And that's in line with Hospital 410, which is embedded within the context of the handbook.
You know, but, sorry, go ahead.
I think just some parents may confuse, we are only able to accept 10 excusal notes or calls for students during a school year, because you're saying 10 days with calling with excuse, like we know that's what you're saying. They may say, well, what if my doctor, we have more than 10 doctor's appointments, but they're only gone for an hour each time. That's all I can do if it's a student that has medical needs or something where they have more appointments.
So we can make that more
Yeah.
specific to
Yeah.
the number of hours, compared to the days. If the student's gone for an hour, whether it be during, middle of the day, middle or
Right.
beginning or end, that doesn't count as a full day. It may count as a partial absence, but it still calculates into the whole attendance piece as well.
Right. I'm just, for parents reading that, they may interpret that as
Just only 10 instances.
10 instances, whether it's an hour or the entire day, that they can only have 10 times to do it, I guess.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Cause there's only that one reference to hours, so, and then hours never gets referenced again, so I think it could create confusion. And I think Ms. Coco and I were having this conversation last night. Our experience as board members is that many parents read this. They actually do read these handbooks, because we get questions very often, and they will reference very specific passages from this handbook, and they're usually not happy. And that's fine, that's the job that we ran for and asked the community for, but they know this handbook. So that's why we get very invested in the handbook, because they go, you voted for this handbook, and on page 3, it says blah, 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 and I don't think they're doing that right. So we get a little bit invested in the handbook, because we get held to the carpet by parents on this handbook. So we make sure we understand it and they can understand it, and it goes well, because our community, they love a good handbook, so but it's good that they read it, but I mean, parents read these handbooks, and it's not just the people we know. I get calls and emails from other people and the people that I don't know about the handbook and things that they're not happy about, so that's why we are so invested in it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
kind of hold it over. But our principals and, the staff have done a great job
Yeah.
investing the time and trying to be thoughtful about what is needed in the handbook and what we're communicating to our parents and what we're actually talking about, what we're going to implement in the buildings. So, this has been a team approach.
Yeah, we appreciate
Student
it.
services is just kind of trying to take it and put it all together so that it's more succinct and it is universal across the board in areas where it needs to be.
Is there more in elementary?
I had a question, but, the damage to property on page 16, we're using that word remuneration.
Oh. Did they get changed? It didn't get changed?
The copy I have says remuneration.
Which one is that on, which letter is that
Sorry,
under?
16, page 16, what
Under
page?
B?
Under B, correct.
That's going to be changed to restitution
Okay,
throughout.
okay.
So we'll do a search on full clean copy from that, where it says restitution.
Or we could just say cost of damages, make it simple. I don't know. I'm just,
Yeah.
And I have another question too that's unrelated to that also. Then further down the page, under the M, tobacco, nicotine, vapes, it kind of just caught my attention. The student shall not possess, use, transmit, conceal, smoke, got it, or smell of tobacco-related products. I mean, like, if their parents smoke, they're gonna smell like smoke.
I think it's the, obviously, we're more concerned about the smell of marijuana, to be frank.
But it is under tobacco,
And-
nicotine, and vapes.
Yeah, but, because vapes, children use that.
I mean, vapes are
Oh. Yeah.
THC and non-THC.
There
Vapes are
are.
just the
Right.
cartridge.
device. Do we have
So-
a separate one for
That's a good catch,
drugs?
yeah, that's true.
That's a very good catch.
Are you saying letter
I do
M?
enjoy that they said cigarillos.
They said what?
They were very, very specific.
I think it's like giving them probable cause. It's like that idea that it's giving you a
Some
reason
parents
to
might smoke
investigate
legally.
because
Well,
it's in
It is,
there.
there is a medical marijuana.
We
Well,
do
it's
have an
legal.
alcohol.
It's not legal in our schools.
Well,
No,
no,
the
no, no, no,
parents
but I
at
meant
home.
the parents
No.
may
It's
smoke.
very,
Could
it's a
still be
very
coming to
loud
school,
smell.
And it's, I know it's
And
not.
But I think
Yeah.
it's what
But-
Mr. Gomez says, if a child smells like it, we can then
Inquire.
inquire to see if they're under the influence. And then we start to look at eyes,
Yeah, other
behavior.
things.
but there is an R, alcohol, drugs, and narcotics.
Yeah.
So tobacco, maybe it doesn't belong, the smell of, wouldn't make sense necessarily there. But it would make sense under the alcohol,
You know,
drugs,
if I were,
and
and not to be nitpicky, but if I were a smoking parent that, took their child to school, and I know that they're gonna smell like smoke, I'm like, are they gonna get suspended, are they gonna get in trouble? I mean, I would question it.
Well, so let's think that through a little bit more. So, when I was in school, kids did smoke in school, and so if
Yeah.
you smell like it, they might have evidence, it might mean that you are smoking in school. So, it's not so much, we don't care if a child's, if a kindergartner comes in smelling like it, we're gonna make the assumption that it was because they were in the car with a parent or at home, and, I grew up in that same environment. So, I could see that, we wouldn't in that case. But I think if it's like Mr. Gomez says, if there's a suspicion of them using it, not so much,
I
So I
guess my
think that's
head
why
was
it's
in
there.
elementary handbook.
Yeah, it
I mean,
is, I know. Well,
I mean, with
we unfortunately do have,
kids are
You never
fans.
know. You never know.
I have a question about the healthy snack ideas list, and then it talks about how everything has to align with that for the parties and celebrations. One of the things that I've talked with some of the other board members about is that some of our buildings are very strict about this, and we've had conversations about, parties and celebrations. Some of our buildings are very strict, like
still this year? Because we've gone over this, our ed staff.
I can give you
we've gone
building
over
names
this.
offline, cause I won't
Yes,
do that here.
offline.
But, like their, like, treat was like, a Scooby snack, cause that's like approved on here. And like, other buildings are having a cupcake, which I believe we all agreed was acceptable for parties.
Yeah.
So we just didn't know if we needed to put language in here, if that was the problem. Or we also know that the wellness committee is looking at all of this, so did we need to put something in here that like references like the wellness policy, so that if that changes, that will like trigger people to be a little bit more open-minded? I don't know. I just wanna address that
I
because,
would not be opposed with pulling that section completely out with the suggestions, because that could change, but I don't think that the policy will change prior to the start of next school year.
correct,
So, we are looking
but
at.
it could change within the school year. That's your hope as a our wellness committee representative.
I know right now we're just evaluating what our policy
Yeah.
currently is, and then we'll go from there. And I think we'll have our last meeting, I think tomorrow is our last meeting of the year, we might have one more.
Well, let's leave that with the superintendent, because those are people that report to her.
But I mean, it could stay in and then we could change it as it goes, but I
Yeah.
think the policy is kind of strict. It said something like, we'll meet or exceed the standards for this healthy snacks.
Yes, the policy is very strict, but then
Very
we've also
strict.
talked about other things, and then
Yeah.
people are struggling with it, so we didn't know, is it the language of this that they're struggling? I don't know where it is, what the hang up specifically is. I know that this list is being followed, which, you know, I appreciate a good rule follower, but at the same time, we tried to give a little bit of leniency, and and we talk about trying to be equitable around our district. And, you know, we're trying
Well,
to, you know, just a little cupcake for a kid.
I know, it's funny that, because you have to click on this link then to use the calculator to figure out if your snack meets the standards for this. It's a lot of
A
steps.
scoop
And
of
it's not
vanilla
our-
ice cream,
I mean-
Miss Coco did meet the standards, I ran it through for you.
This is unfortunately, we're bound by law in a lot
Yeah.
of this. I mean, as we know, but we can bend, but we just have to be aware of
Do kids pack?
what we're bending.
We'll leave that one with Dr. Salico, how about
I
that?
know, I got mine.
We'll leave that one
Okay.
with you.
I'm fine with that.
But we just
Yeah.
wanted to,
Okay.
we didn't know if it was the language, but we just thought that was a good opportunity to say, hey, we know this list, this is probably where they're getting the list from, so it's a good
Yeah.
opportunity to say,
Do kids pack lunches anymore?
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because then they can bring whatever they want, right, from home?
Yeah, but not for the
Pretty much.
celebrations, is what
Yes,
we're talking about.
correct, but I meant
Yeah.
your own.
But no, I don't think they can bring anything they want from home.
I can't.
Yeah.
Not like drink
No, I don't think you can
wise,
bring
they
like
can't-
Not
soda.
pop,
No.
right,
Well, no, but I mean, if they have chips.
Yeah, my kid goes to
Oh,
school
yeah.
with chips.
Peanut butter and well.
Or, yeah, my child does not adhere to this, I can tell you that right now. He
Yeah.
doesn't adhere.
Cucumbers and chips, so.
Yeah.
Is there anything else
Sneaking in
on
those
elementary?
Sticks, yeah, Dorito.
Anything else on elementary?
I know.
Okay, middle school.
All right.
Some of the stuff is the same in all of these, so we, Mr. Elder's a wise person, so he will catch on to that. I'm quite confident, but. Do we need to add the language in T, which is on page 15? Does this need to be added to policy? Because this is all pulled from policy, so does that need to be amended?
Part of it, so we're looking at the cell phone, okay, you know where we're at?
The recording of,
What is it?
does that need to be put in policy and or should it be put in
Which page
policy?
are you on?
So
15.
isn't necessarily described when we have the policy about electronic devices. And we could, you know, make a recommendation to amend the policy to meet this. This is just the procedure that's going to be handled middle school, high school. So, excuse me.
I don't, this isn't policy language though, is it?
No,
Yeah.
no, we didn't take this. It wasn't policy language before, we just need to change it to be more
are in the process of reviewing that policy though.
Yeah,
Just to
the
see
cell
if we
phone
want them to
policy.
jive.
I think that probably should go into a policy. I think it should.
What we have here, like what's.
The
in there?
underlined,
Yeah.
the underlined part, I think it should be
I
supported by
would love to
policy.
see that because
So,
this is
that would
the
be my thought as a policy.
bane of my existence right now. All of ours.
So this would be under the acceptable use.
Is it acceptable use or, well, I think we have a cell phone policy as well. We should probably, I think we're also trying to talk about creating a cell phone policy. Cause we're gonna have to have there's gonna be a requirement for us, like, policy that probably is called cell phone policy. So, we should probably just start, we're probably gonna have to, might as well start working on it and be ahead of the game.
Yeah.
For when the law gets passed, then
And people can model ours.
yeah, might as well work on it.
This is a very big problem. And it's causing a lot of disruption in our schools and creating more.
I mean, it's already a violation because
It
their
is.
phones are supposed to be.
It is. Yep. Every child who records a fight or something in a classroom is violating their acceptable use, they're violating the policy. The challenge we're having is sometimes tracking people down, but I have told every single principal, and I will tell the parents again next year, when we start off the school year, that I have encouraged principals to suspend students who are recording. Because they're spreading it around, they're causing people to become more upset, creating more fights and disruption, and we can't have it, period.
Are we taking out the expectation at middle school that their devices are turned off and in lockers? Because
That's what they do now.
that is what they do now, is that in here? Because then in electronic devices, we're saying they're permitted to be used for education purposes only at the discretion of building administration and not to be used. But shouldn't it just say that at the middle school level, if our expectation is that they're turned off and in their locker, shouldn't
This says
that,
out of sight.
This is out of sight.
Middle school just says turned off and out of sight
where are you at?
on page 23.
But that's different from what's on page 15 is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I'm saying what's on page 15 under T is different than
Yeah.
23.
So 23 and 15.
Like 15's giving them almost a little bit more leeway than what we wrote
So it's in two spots.
on 23. And if
Okay.
we're intending to be stricter, we should reflect that throughout.
Okay.
Because if there's more lenient and then more stricter, I think that's gonna cause us problems with
Okay,
parents that want a more lenient policy.
all right, we definitely will take a look at both of those.
Yeah.
So I'm just to summarize it, so currently the policy on page 15, they may not use their phones at all during the day. But then on page 23, okay, so it doesn't really say they can use them, but it doesn't specifically say.
Well, on page 15 it
off
says
and out of
unless
sight
it's.
during the school day.
Right. Because right now, page 15 is saying, in any unstructured setting or any non-educational setting without permission. So it leaves room to, oh, well, my teacher said that we could use our phones because we have free time in
Yeah. So they
science
couldn't
class,
use them
so
at their
let's
lunch
take
period.
This says there shall be off and out of sight during the school day.
the whole day.
I'm not sure we
I have
even
no
need
problem
that
with
section, to be very honest.
Which section?
The
15T.
Because most of this is addressed in the second part, we just need to,
Well, I think 15T is the disciplinary code.
It is.
So you do need it.
Well, what we
Because
could-
that's what you discipline under.
well, we could say, refer to, or embed that last piece in, right in
Yeah, you
there.
could embed this into T,
Yeah.
but you do need T because that's what you
Yeah,
would
yeah, yeah.
actually discipline
Yeah.
under.
I would either say, please see page 32, or whatever the page was, or just embed it right here. Because I think it's confusing having the two, because then you have to make sure that they align.
So I wanna make sure that I'm following. T is what you're accepting, but
No, we're good with,
No,
we're
we're
good
good
with the
with
back
no.
page, the more stricter. We just think it should be under T. correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. I just wanna make sure that's what we were thinking.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then we'll review that and have more thoughts, cause
Mm-hmm.
I think there might be stuff that can be cleaned up a little bit, cause some of it. And then we probably need to talk about lunch and other things. I do like that, I do think one of the things that people have, parents have a lot of concerns about is, can they have them on it? If, goodness forbid, the worst happens, is it on, can they then turn it on? And so I do think they should be able to have it on them, but the expectation is it's turned off, as opposed to, and I think that's what this is saying. Because even with like those yonder things, they still have them on themselves, like what Akron does. They're still technically on their person.
Yeah, I mean, what we really have to think through, because the problem becomes, and I've watched it as I'm observing in classrooms, children say, can I go to the bathroom? And what do? They take their phones with them, and they're being used. So we just have to figure that out a little bit. And, yeah, I mean, I don't wanna say too much just because of, you know, we're still like sorting through it, and we haven't really had a chance to move forward in that process just yet. But we definitely have some thoughts, because we're running into those problems of, you know, a lot in the bathrooms.
Well, I think,
So with the thoughts of what needs to happen, is what we have in these handbooks going to cover those thoughts for next year, or is it something that we need to be proactive about now? To have
No, we included some of that, and in the high school one, we addressed some of what we think we wanna do. But we'll look at it again with a more critical eye, and based on the feedback and conversation we had here today. I think I have a better idea.
cause I think this is saying off and out of sight. I mean, I think that makes sense. If you, out of sight isn't on person, then I think that should be specified. If out of sight is a specific place, I think we should say that so that people know.
I mean, out of sight could be using it in a bathroom stall. I mean, that's out of sight.
Well, if it's in your pocket,
It has to be off though.
yeah.
That's not, cause it has to be
That's
off
fair,
and out of sight.
yeah.
So
But if I have it in my back pocket and it's turned off, and I go in the bathroom and I turn it on,
no, you're failing cause it's not off,
Okay,
so.
Yeah.
It's a two-part test,
Two
off
parts.
and out of sight. It has to meet both parts of the test.
yeah, but if you're in the bathroom and teacher doesn't know if it's
It
on,
has to be off
I don't
though.
think it has a phone.
But,
then they're breaking.
I disagree.
so I do think that
Yeah, I
if out of
disagree.
sight, if there's a
Yeah,
specific
just
area
as
that we intend to propose as out of sight, that it should be in here so that parents are informed of that. Because I think if it isn't on their person, doesn't count, then I think people are gonna be upset that they weren't made aware of that.
Yeah, I think the timing of this is actually gonna work out better, because in the next 2 weeks, we will be having, a parent feedback, meeting. So in 2 weeks, when this is on again, we should have all those loops, you know, everything kinda closed, so.
I feel like this is very strict.
I think it's a good thing though.
Feel that it needs to be personal.
I agree, but I
mean,
understand where.
I
Chris-
understand what you're saying, it needs,
Jesse is there too.
but that's just not the world that we live in. If you go, when
Yeah,
you're
I
at work,
know.
your phone is on you all the time. You know, so it's not like you're, I don't think they should be using them during the classrooms, but like at lunch, I can't listen to some music while I eat my lunch, or, I mean, check a text message to make sure I have a ride home tonight.
Well, I don't know
These
that
aren't
we're,
elementary students,
we
these are.
haven't ruled that out yet either. I mean,
Yeah.
there, it says at the discretion of the principal. So if Principal Smith says, you know, we're gonna allow it in study hall and at lunch.
I know they used to use that was, a perk if you did well in
Yeah.
the grading period, and
Right.
you get a special pass, you could be in the cafeteria for your study hall. I think we did it at Roberts, and then you could have your, you could use electronics during that time for that one period.
Which is, again, if children would use it in that way, and
Yeah,
we can trust them to
exactly.
do that, and the vast majority of children, we certainly can.
Anybody read the
But
anxious
as soon as that fight
generation?
breaks out in the cafeteria, guess what happens to those phones? I'm not listening to music anymore, I'm recording.
Yeah, they do.
And I mean, that's our reality right now for us, as practitioners, as people in the classrooms, in the schools. And it's a battle, like, it really, I can't say enough how detrimental sometimes these cell phones have been. I mean, it is creating.
It's also an addiction too. I
It
mean,
is.
there's research
It
on
is.
that, so we also need
It is.
that kids
Yeah.
and adults
Yes.
check our cell phones so often because we've created an addiction to checking our
Or
phones.
you're literally, your phone dings, you get a hit of dopamine, I
Yeah.
mean, they've done studies
Yeah.
on it.
I agree.
I think you read an article out loud for
I
that.
did, yeah, I did. And there's a new book out called The Anxious Generation. I think that's the name of it. And maybe we all need to read it. Because he says no phones in school. None. Because it does, they're not
Yeah.
ready
No,
to have that. And I will buy it and read it, because I plan on buying it anyway, but yeah, you know me. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel really uneasy about the,
I know, because that's what my daughter said too. But Mom, what if there's a lockdown, or what if, it's his last words, and I'm going, ooh, you're really getting
well, you hate to
deep.
go there.
I
but,
know,
every time that there's
It is scary.
a
I mean,
lockdown,
yeah,
and you get a
or-
call from
yeah,
from your kid, and they don't know
I
what's
know.
going on, and.
I know.
Well, when you get to the
Oh,
high
well.
school one, I mean, they're gonna be in the classrooms. The phones will be in the classroom. So if they're locked down in a classroom, the phone's gonna be in the classroom,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, so,
there you
I
go.
mean, they could get them at that point, if it's a real,
Yeah.
But,
I don't have any issues with like the lunch and all of that, like,
Mhm.
especially in middle school with
Yeah.
that age where they need to be continuing to develop social skills, and with all of, like, having phones, they're not talking to each
yeah,
other.
exactly.
And they're not creating relationships with each other and figuring out that this person sitting across the table, we actually have things in common and aren't that
Exactly.
different, and
Exactly.
all of those things are not happening because of phones. And I have a middle schooler that doesn't like me anyways because I don't do a lot of things, so it's okay.
Oh.
She does like me sometimes,
I know.
I
but
think-
she doesn't like some of my rules.
Well, actually, my grandson agreed with me. I was kind of surprised, but he said, no,
You could build it into the PBIS model as well. You
or
could
something, yeah.
use
we
your
do.
Tiger tickets
Yeah.
to buy cell phone
Yeah.
time. I don't know.
Yeah,
There's
some-
lots of things you could do. The
It's a-
PBIS
It's something
model
that we're
and
gonna
things.
have to really work
Yeah, I'd be
on.
interested to see what the parent committee suggests.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
will.
they'll be giving us feedback, and
Yeah.
asking questions and voicing some concerns so we
Yeah.
can address them.
Well, and I think we have questions and concerns
Yeah.
too. I mean, we're not, but I think at the same time, I think we recognize the negatives. I think we also recognize the need to improve the academic results of our school districts and the hard work that we have put into trying to make that happen. And these cell phones are a barrier to the academic success that we could be seeing in this school district. So, think of all the money we've spent on professional development for our educators, the great resources and all the time that they've spent. If every kid in that classroom isn't paying attention because they're on their cell phone, why have we spent all this money? Why did they spend all their time in the summers going to this professional development? What are we really doing and what are we really about for not able to make that next hard push to really get us to that place where we can see those academic results that we know that we can get to?
In the middle school, maybe the old origami folding notes between classes will come back.
I could teach a lesson on that.
Yeah, football. Yeah. Oh, oh, man.
Are we ready to go to high school? I have one more question, but it's for both high school and middle school, so we can ask it in high school. There is the Black Tiger fight song. Ms. White's gonna sing it at a future board
Oh,
meeting.
yeah, true.
She does have a majorette costume that she won,
Are we working
so
at, alma mater?
I'm good at the alma mater.
I'm okay with it too, except I do think Carrie has the sturdy sons and loyal
Sturdy
daughters.
sons
We might be
and
able
loyal
to tweak
daughters.
that line a little
Just
bit.
like-
I mean,
There's one of
it
Mrs.
just,
Schaefer's determination.
How about loyal sons and loyal daughters or something, What? Well, I'm just
How old
thinking
is
of
the song?
what Gary said.
Anybody know? 1938, oh,
1938.
Was it?
It was written,
I think
yeah.
it's, I think it's, I think it's great. It just, as the times have changed, maybe those,
Yeah.
just those
That
two
one,
little lines.
yeah, so change
tweak, a
sturdy
little
to
tweak.
loyal.
Maybe we just
Athletic and
think of something else,
activity.
Yeah,
not-
or something else
not
altogether,
Athletic
yeah.
fees.
just
Yeah, there you go.
classmates and
new?
cohorts or something.
Or
so-
are we
yeah.
just including
go.
that again? Page 33,
Okay.
sorry, it just got hung.
Back to it.
Or were we
Okay.
not charging them
Wait a minute.
because of the freeze,
33.
so we put them back in? 33, athletic fees.
Oh, okay.
We were paying them because of Esther, so we had to put them back in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just making sure. So they're all the same,
Can
okay.
I ask a question about the fees? Oh, sorry, should I
Yeah,
interrupt you?
go ahead.
And I just thought of this, so the fee for high school athletic participation would be $100 for the first sport, 75 for the second sport. Marching band is 75. Is, if you do a second sport, is it 75, or is it, if you do a sport, then is it 100 and then 75 for like a third?
Yes.
Okay.
And they, the
Well, it wouldn't
economically
it wouldn't be,
disadvantaged, we still help
Yeah,
with
if they
those?
qualify for free,
Yeah,
they get
that's-
50%
Okay,
reduction
Yeah.
in their
Nice.
participation.
yeah, I thought that.
That's good.
it would be 25 for the second sport for marching band, cause it's a $200
Yeah.
cap.
Yeah, so if they play two sports,
Oh,
if we only go
Cause the
Right.
$200 cap still applies,
Follow through
so,
on the sentence for Gary.
yeah, cause the $200 cap applies no matter what,
Yeah.
so. So the marching band 75, and then the 100, and then still the 25, because they would still hit the cap. So just to clarify, Ms. Schaefer. I didn't wanna think, the $200 applies to everyone, so, I don't wanna think,
Including the marching band. Awesome,
Yes.
thank you.
yeah. I know that's important.
It's, well, yeah, it's,
Yeah.
I don't want to bounce back to the middle school, but
No,
one
it's
thing
fine.
that's, in the high school, on page 11, the family and personal vacations, student vacation schedule during the school year is considered unexcused absence from school. The language is different in the middle school and saying that the reasons the student may be non-medically excused include but not limited to. And then under unexcused absence, it says any absence for any reason other than listed above. Well, listed above is as determined by the superintendent on that one. Which I have actually had brought up to me as, well, the superintendent could say it's okay for me to go to Disney for 3 weeks.
What page are you on?
In the middle school one, it's on page 7. Not, they didn't say 3 weeks, but,
Page 10,
and then
and
page,
then the high school.
high school's page 11, I think. Well, my page 11 anyways.
Oh, here, I see it.
As determined
Family
by
and
the-
personal
As
vacation.
determined by the superintendent, number 8.
I'm just thinking the family vacation should
Well-
probably be consistent in both of those, if,
So the one, so I see a family or personal vacations section. Student vacations scheduled during the school year will be considered unexcused absences from school.
What page are you on?
That's page 11 on my computer.
yes,
And
in
then
the high school.
unexcused is on page 10. Absence for any, other than, okay, then those listed above shall be classified as.
Oh,
unexcused.
okay, that says as determined. But in the middle school one, does it have about the family and personal vacations? Is that in the middle school handbook?
I don't have that one up.
I don't believe that that is.
That's all another fraction of the middle school. Other than looking at the family.
For fees.
I guess in the top it says because vacations are unexcused absences. So I guess it is in there, it's just
What
in the-
page?
on page 7 in the top paragraph under attendance. So I guess it is in there under that part. It's just a sentence in that paragraph instead of a bullet point.
Yeah, I wonder if it should be moved.
Yeah, do you see it?
Yeah.
Because vacations are asked, just, and then,
Yeah, I mean, I gotta tell you, we don't typically approve family vacations. I mean, you can do it, but it will be unexcused. That's pretty much how we do it. And if a teacher can provide work, that's great, but that's my preference.
I just wanted to ensure that that was in both of those.
Yeah.
About it being unexcused.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a little discussion, make note of that one to talk a little bit, maybe we can reorder it. And I gotta think of instances why I would approve something that's not listed. Okay, we'll look at that.
You want me to change it?
And Christie has a change apparently.
So,
In middle
look-
school.
Looking at middle school, yeah, so it's $50, but the cap of 200 is for 7-12, and the family cap 7 to 12 is 500. Because if you remember previously, it used to be like one separate cap for middle school and one for high school, and I was like, this is ridiculous. So we went to and changed it to, it's $50, there's still a cap of 200, which middle school won't hit, but they're a lot less than at the high school level, and it's $500 a family across all of that. Not like just your 7th and 8th grade students have to hit a cap, and then your high schools are hitting a separate cap. I'm like, who's keeping, nobody's keeping track of that.
So family cap.
So there's a family cap 7 to 12 of 500.
Okay.
And there's an individual cap 7 to 12 of 200, but between the middle school and the high school levels, there's a different charge for those activities.
So it's like deductibles.
Yeah, it's a smaller deductible for
Individual and the family.
So,
No,
Kenneth needs to hear it again.
So, the fees that we're charging are correct, but for both middle school and high school, the individual cap is $200, and same, the family cap is, spans across 7 to 12, and it's $500 cap. So, if you have students anywhere from 7 to 12, they all count towards one cap.
That makes sense.
Do we have questions or comments about the high school handbook other than electronic device, cause it's different, so we can get to that at the end. Let's get through our other questions or comments.
The only other thing on that is that I don't know if I put the word there, no other fees associated with participating in any other middle school activity. Just because I know they've tried to do ski club and there could be, it's not necessarily like a school imposed participation fee that would be, but there may be other fees for different, like if they do ski club, then they're gonna have to pay for like whatever the cost it is to go skiing through Brandywine is. But I know the way that Brandywine does it, like we have to collect it and then we send them one check. So technically that, it's
I don't think they do that anymore.
they do, they do. Yeah. Yeah, so, we would still be collecting that fee per se.
I have a question about
It's
the,
not participation.
the badges. So the students 6-12 are gonna get these IDs, they have to wear them every day? Are they gonna be like protected or, cause they,
I wish Ryan were here to speak to that. Lanyards, I think they're laminated. Not, so, I don't think they're to this magnitude. They're probably like this with a hole punch. Now, I couldn't say for sure, I can certainly ask him. That's just my guess. That's what I've seen.
Oh,
In
what
other
the ID
districts.
cards are? Yeah, I think they go the other way.
And they'll be
But they're
wearing them around
a
their
little
necks,
sturdier than this, yes.
Like-
like on lanyards.
I understand that it's a security piece, I appreciate that. Like what happens if they don't wear theirs to school that day?
Well, Ryan and I had a lot of discussion about that. I found
You
some
can't deny them
language.
from coming to
No,
school for
no.
that reason.
They would have to report to the office.
You get a pass.
We'd have to have a temporary badge of some sort, call home if we can get it brought to to school. But if they continue to abuse it and I come 3 days in a row, you're gonna be consequenced. Cause now at this point, it's probably insubordination.
And then like, well, what happens if they need a new pass? Cause we're gonna have lost passes,
It's a,
destroyed
generally-
passes, they're gonna
Yeah.
fall on the street. So, I mean, the language we got was like,
Yeah,
you're gonna
most
wear,
I
you're
thought it
gonna
was in
wear a
there.
badge every day.
Yeah.
That was all that was sent to us, and
I
I
thought
mean,
it said $5 fee. I thought we had all that in
Yeah,
there.
it
What
did-
page
it
is it on?
was
In the high
$5.
school, it says
I
$5
know.
Yeah, it's not, yeah.
if they lose it.
If
The,
they
the
lose-
emailed language that I got was like 2 sentences.
Okay, well, let's make sure you're looking
So
at
if they
the right
put
one.
more in here,
What is it,
maybe
what
there
page?
was more, but.
There it
There it
is,
is.
Anybody have the page number?
Yeah,
21.
yeah, 21.
Thank you.
If a student ID is lost, students will need to obtain a new one in the activities office. The replacement cost is $5.
But if they're in wood shop, they can't wear their student ID. That's a safety risk, so they can't wear it at all times. I mean, I just think there needs to be a lot of, like, we're saying they have to wear it at all times. They can't wear it at all times. Can't wear it while you're welding. You can't wear it. I mean,
Well, I mean, the idea is when you're out and about in the building, you should have it on, and when you're in class. I mean, if that's the case, I'm sure the teacher would say then, take it off, and this is a safety issue, and we're not gonna discipline you because your teacher's telling you to take it off.
I think that there's probably gonna be some growing pains with doing this,
Sure.
because it's new for students and for parents, and I'm thinking more from a middle school level. I know high schools, lots of high schools do this. It's not it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You need your pass and you need to be here. I think middle school, especially sixth graders, but I think eventually it'll be the same as, do you have your water bottle? Do you have your backpack? Do you have your computer charged? Do you have your badge? It will be that, but I think that we're probably going to have, you know, something in place for some sort of leniency as
Yeah.
we transition into it, because it is new.
And
not-
they, yeah, and I would agree, and I've been in districts that we've implemented it from new, but, and I didn't know if this was a county, I was just curious, you know, if it's urban versus suburban, or if it's, you know, county-wide, but, you know, we had badges when I was in Euclid 15 years ago. I mean, we enforced it that long ago. But we would give new ones because, visualizations, like, actually gives us those as part of our package.
Yeah.
So we get them new every year too, which keeps the pictures updated, right? So what Mr. Gesford was saying was that, if I have this around my neck, so we have had a couple instances this year where students have breached and come into our building, frankly. Students got in, other students let them in. Now, if those children were in the office, or they passed, staff, and they didn't have something around their neck, that would look suspicious to a teacher. And then that would beg the question, what are you doing in our building? Like, that's the idea. Now, will it take us a minute to get there? Certainly, but that's the idea. We would have been able to identify these kids quickly. So,
what does verify internet access privileges mean? They will use their IDs to verify internet access privileges.
probably Ryan, he added this, so it's Ryan related. I'm not sure, because maybe it's related to the dual authentication some way, I don't know.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah.
There you go.
So if you recall, when we were looking at the elementary school, a couple things that we were looking at before we went to the fingerprint identimetrics was having a unique code for students to be able to scan as they went to get their lunch. So this is kind of a similar feature now as staff has multiple reasons or multiple ways that we have to authenticate getting onto our computers. So I think the plan is for that to be part of this as well. Students to be able to have those to be able to access the technology just for technology's sake.
Any questions about the technology piece? Okay. Now we are on to item 5. Oh, go ahead, Ms. White.
Oh,
Let's go for it.
I was just gonna say, so when are we going to be voting on these, on handbooks?
15th, 22nd.
Okay, on the next meeting.
So we'll get it to you, hopefully. I would like you to have it as soon as we can, like next week, you know.
Okay.
As soon as we can, able to find time to meet together and go through this, but get it to you in advance a little bit more, and then if you because I want you to have the time to look through it. And we'll do a really good job of highlighting the changes for you, okay? So, you'll see them. Thank you. I appreciate the time that you guys all took to go through this, because it's almost like you're approving policy. I mean, it really is, it becomes a policy in some fashion, so thank you for that.
Takes us to item 5, future agenda items. At our next board meeting, we will have the 5-year forecast. We also have our levy discussion, so I'll be prepared for that as well. And then Ms. Story will probably highlight that levy for us to lead us into that discussion. In June, we have the 3 meetings. The one is the work session. We're going to talk about the DIB policy and strategic plan, and we also have our to start working on our evaluations for treasurer and superintendent. So keep that in mind. Any other future agenda items at this time? Okay. Number 6, committee report, 612 construction core team.
Oh, we met, and, well, there's a lot of technical stuff. It just, the building, the concrete is poured in some of parts of it. The prepping is going on, the metal decks, the courtyard is coming, exterior spray foam going on, interior masonry is being added, bearing walls. Steel erection, detailing substantially complete. The brick relief angle detailing is occurring on building 3, building 4. Steel is scheduled to start after Memorial Day. Carpentry drywall, they're getting done or in the process of getting done. The roofing, they're going over the gym in the north side area. Building 3, the roofing was delivered and will be it should be probably done by now. The plumbing, same thing. It just keeps going. HVAC, electrical, and technology. Dominion gas coordination, the work is remaining in front of Bolick School and Portage Trail. Dominion is tracking roadway work completion prior to commencing the road widening work, and then the gas house work is ongoing. So that's part of that. The road widening, talked about that. The target date should be May, and they probably will commence work after Memorial Day. And the keying, this is the locks and the doors to the rooms. So I think we are pretty well done with that, and everybody has like the same key except for certain areas. Is that correct? My understanding correct? Pretty much.
So we tried to make it the simplest.
Yeah, I know.
Not a lot of different keys floating out.
Yeah, so, and then the beam signing will be May 18th from 9 to 11 at Bolick. And so they'll be painted yellow, and we can all come and sign the beams. The community construction tours, I did ask that the planning committee receive the first look, which I thought was only right. And I know, I think Anthony, Mr. Gomez, you said something about that. So I wanted to make sure, and so they will do that. But the time and date will be determined. And then middle school staff tour, they are working towards May 16th. And then the topping off ceremony, we haven't really got into that yet. I think I don't know, this is all so much stuff. I don't know if there's, the concession stand. Let me talk a little bit about that. The TDA, we discussed about potential concession stand on the visitor side with a small restroom, correct? Okay, so, and the cost, it is gonna be expensive, $550,000 to $750,000. But we'll have to confirm that and look at it and see what we can do there. And then,
Mrs. White, if I could interrupt there just for a
sure,
second.
no problem.
So on that one, that is not a district expense. We have been approached,
Yeah,
I met
okay.
with the Gridiron, and they wanted to know an idea of a cost. It started out 1.5 million. I said, no, we want something small, just a couple stalls and a concession. But as like everything else, it's outrageous. So once we get that, I'm going to share with the
Yeah.
Gridiron.
I didn't know if I was allowed to say the Gridiron.
No, that's okay.
Yeah,
they've said it, yeah.
Thank you though for that. And then we're gonna try to issue a bulletin for the greenhouse edition. And then they're also trying to get the planetarium, the dome part in there, so, that's coming. The media space is, coming up, and which that will be contracted for. So I think really,
How much do we need for the planetarium?
We're waiting on that.
yeah, we're waiting, we don't know yet.
The
We don't
dome,
know.
the dome is 20,000, so what, when you see these donations come in, that's what
Yeah,
Mr.
that's,
Stuzinski is trying to fund, and he's gonna try grants and donors. So that'll get us to 20,000, would get us, that's the first phase, but we do have to pay for the, soffit work and all the connections up there. And then the big cost is the projector, which will come second phase, third, whatever we can get. We're hoping for a grant on that, it's about 45,000.
So, we're in on the soffit work as a district.
That's what we're hoping to be able to afford for the soffit work, because otherwise, if we don't do this now, they are going to enclose the ceiling. And then we pretty much, in my opinion, have said we're never gonna do this again, because if we're gonna do it again, we have to now rip out that ceiling
yeah, it would
and
be more.
do all the work all over again.
So we need 20K for the dome.
Yes, and that we're trying to get from donors and grants. And then we'll also try for the, like I said, the projector as a donor. So it was originally $140,000.
Well, the projector we don't need
No.
at this moment. I mean, we would like it at this moment, but we don't need it at this
No.
moment. Okay.
We don't.
So
That's
that
what
was,
I
again, it was 140,000, and if you take out the dome, which their cost was higher on the dome, and the projector, so if you subtract that from the soffit work, it'll be.
like 40,000, 45.
Yeah, hopefully it's
Something.
around there. We'll see, which again blows my mind, but.
Well, this board would love to name that dome after somebody if somebody wants to name.
Oh, yeah.
We can name things after people is it a finite amount of time, Ms. Stoikowski?
Well, it just depends on how much we're talking.
We would love to name that dome after someone. We like to
That
put
is
it out
an
to the
attorney
community.
question.
We have a
The
policy
board has, in the revised code, has the right to naming rights
Yep.
exclusively. We would love to name that dome after someone you may know.
That's an attorney question, because our federal, those bonds are not taxable bonds, so we don't wanna get into a situation where they become taxable.
We can still name it, it's just we're not sure if it's finite or permanent. But we'll name it. We'll name it. We'll name anything you would like to have named after you. If not the dome, if there's something else of commensurate purpose, let us know.
I can probably get a soap dispenser named after
And we would love to do that for you as well. It won't be a plaque, but I will use my label printer just for you.
Oh, thanks.
Sorry to interrupt, Ms. White, was there more?
No, that's cool.
Athletics and activities is gonna be after the spring season completes, most likely. Board Policy Committee, we have nothing further at this time. Business Alliance Council,
Meets Tuesday?
meeting Tuesday. District Wellness Committee. Tomorrow, okay, good to know. Financial Advisory Committee, we announced your next meeting. It's coming up this month. Graduation Day. Foundation Alumni Association, last evening, we had our, annual awards evening, inducted 5 new, distinguished alumni. 3 were able to be there, 1 had, his granddaughter accept on his behalf, and if you didn't catch it, but the 5th, it's a new category that we added, it's a posthumous category. We're discovering these people that have just had extraordinary careers, that may have passed away decades ago, and we really want to honor what they did and the fact that they came from Cuyahoga Falls High School. So we are annually going to enter someone posthumously into the rolls of our distinguished alumni. We handed out, it's either 13 or 15 teacher grants. I don't remember which of the 2 it was. And then 57 scholarships to students, including one that was for $20,000 from a donor who was a distinguished alum last year. So it was over, I believe we gave $128,000 worth of scholarships out last evening. So very proud of the work that we were able to do and thankful for the donors that make all that work possible.
I want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Percy Grenfell, who was the athletic director when I was a kid here. He really did support women's sports, and there was only one, and that was cheerleading, and then he really supported gymnastics, and from there it kind of grew. So just a shout out to him for that.
His granddaughter accepted on his behalf last
Aw,
night,
I thought
and
so.
Caitlin made the reference that he was the first Grenfell to receive 4 letters from Cuyahoga Falls High School, and she
Aw.
was the last.
See?
So it's kind of a cool little family.
I got 3.
So, Legislative Liaison,
Nice.
Mr. Harris.
Yeah, I have a couple things. Just want to, House Bill 250, which was heading to Governor DeWine's desk. A couple things. Establishes 2 additional pathways for students to earn their military enlistment seal. And then, obviously, the other part of that is the cell phones in school. But again, this is not a ban. Instead, it requires districts to have a policy in place that limits cell phone use during school hours. And I think that has to be in place by next school year. A couple things I'm watching in committee, more student-focused bills here. House Bill 8, which would force educators to out students' sexuality to their parents, require public schools to inform parents about sexuality content materials ahead of time, and give them an option to request alternative instructions. And then House Bill 183, again, more students-focused. There is would ban transgender students from using bathroom and locker room that matches up with their gender identity. So that is all I have.
Thank you. I just want to add, Mr. Schaefer and I were able to go to the Board Leadership Institute this past weekend, and they gave a legislative update on the 2 really good bills that are making their way through, because I like to highlight when there's good news. House Bill 219 is a college credit plus fix bill, and there's several really good things in there, including one provision that would allow students to enroll for the spring semester with the November 1st deadline. Right now, there's that hard and fast April 1st deadline, and that's for the full year. So if a student decides that, and that there's also things that help with athletic eligibility in there. Right now, there's nothing that requires the institution of higher education to inform a school district when a student withdraws. And that impacts students' eligibility in sports to make sure that they have at least those 5 credits. So there's some information in there. It also, they're working on a fix, OSBA is, to include a requirement that the Institute of Higher Education informs the school district when a student fails a course, because there's also no provision that currently requires that, but there are provisions that protect the school district from continuing to have to expend funds for a student if they fail a CCP course, but at the same time, there's no provision that requires that institution to inform us. Some institutions do, but there's nothing that requires them to, so that would be a good fix. And the other thing that we as local school districts really want to happen is it requires the Institute of Higher Education to share the costs of the books 50-50 with us. So we would really love to see House Bill 219 get passed. The institutions of higher education are fighting very hard against this bill. But we are fighting very hard for this bill. We would love to see it passed. A lot of that's common sense stuff that would just make our record keeping better. The November 1st thing for kids that maybe didn't know in the spring that they wanted to take a CCP class would be a phenomenal pathway to get more students into CCP programs. That would be a great thing. That would actually benefit these higher ed, because they'd get a lot more students taking CCP courses most likely. And that cost sharing for the textbooks would be great for us. We would love to see that happen, because that is a economic hit sometimes, because our kids usually end up going to the bookstores where the books are most expensive, so, because that's where we send them. So that's a great bill we'd love to see get passed. We're gonna keep our eyes on that. OSBA is pushing really hard. And the other one is a Senate bill on education reform, a lot of common sense reforms. In that one, there's only one little piece that OSBA is even like a little bit concerned about, which like so rarely happens. We're really excited about that one. And it's sponsored by Senator Brenner, so it has a really good chance of getting passed through, and we're excited about that one. And it even has like things like taking away the need to have a calendar hearing because nobody comes to those.
Yep, that's
So it's just like, they really looked at all the like little things in education law that people don't use anymore but are still there, and trying to reform things to make education law better. So that would be another really great one. And then the other thing, Speaker Stevens wiped out a bunch of the committee chairs, but the education chair is now Representative Gail Manning, who's a phenomenal champion for public education. So we're actually thrilled about that one. So that was what we heard. So we got some good news. We all heard all the bad things you heard as well, but we wanted to give you some good news.
What was that Senate bill?
I forget the number. I want to say 164, but I forget. And then Student Achievement Liaison,
Yeah.
Ms. White, you guys met this
Yeah, this, before this meeting.
afternoon.
And it was basically going over the one needs assessment, setting building goals and getting those into it. I sat with DeWitt and they talked about doing things like the literacy plan, because we're implementing that next year. It kind of makes sense that they take those two goals of breaking down the standards, clarifying, and then the science of reading, and maybe doing those two goals for the next 3 years, which I thought was reasonable. You don't want too many goals, and they're already kind of doing those things. And they seem to think that their attendance that they were working on was working well, and they're already working on that. So I think that's where, I'm not sure, because I had to leave, but I mean, that's what they had talked about. And then we also, as I said earlier, talked about how do they include art, music, and et cetera, and so on. So they had some ideas with the scheduling. So it was interesting to hear and sit and with them and go from there. But that was about all that I got, because I had to leave and come here. But it's very interesting work, and it was getting done. So, yeah.
Thank you. This to number 7 comments, Mr. Harris.
Yes, congratulations to our top Tigers tonight, to Mr. Johnson, Lincoln and Richardson Elementary, for everything. It is, as mentioned multiple times, Staff Appreciation Week, so what a great moment for us to honor all those folks. And again, thank you to all of our staff across the board for everything you do for us and our students. I want to thank everyone who made it out to the art walk. Ms. Schulman, everyone involved in that, it was fantastic seeing some of the local art and some of the performers was fantastic. I didn't get to see too much because I had to make my way to Metropolis, and Mr. Gomez and I handed out some popcorn, and I will say, I was gonna lie, but we did ask who, had the better crowd, and it was even, we were told, but we got a little bit of a wink.
We also have the best time slot.
Right. And then thanks to Principal Dolka, the staff over at Silver Lake for having Dr. Selico and I on Friday for our visit. It's another perk of being a school board member is being able to get inside the classrooms and meet with the staff and teachers and see staff and students, see what's going on. So it's always a good time there. And then lastly, I was able to, and I'll let other folks talk about this, I was able to make it to the Alumni Foundation Scholarship program yesterday. Not being being an alumni of Cuyahoga Falls, you can't help but just, hearing the story. I believe the first gentleman that got up there talking about the friendship he had for years and years and years, and then everything is so full circle, coming back and giving back to your community here too. So that was a fantastic experience there, although I could only stay for 40 minutes. So.
Thank you. Mrs. Schaefer?
I don't have much. As Mr. Gomez said, we attended the Board Leadership Institute over this past weekend, and I'm so grateful that we're in a district that values continuing to learn, and I learned a lot, and I took some of sessions that I thought I already know all this stuff, and I did not. And Ms. White, when you said about the AI, I went to a seminar on that, and they were talking about board policy for AI and keeping it kind of like high level because so much is changing. And I think that he said that Lieutenant Governor Husted is working on something, like some suggestions for AI policies.
He has released this framework on AI for schools. You can find it online.
Okay. And the presenter did mention I think they said Missouri School Board. I have it, I'm ready to send it out an email so you guys can read. It's like a little presentation on board policy. So, yeah, I learned a lot. I had a good time.
Thank you. Mrs. White?
Well, I was lucky to go to the art walk too, and it's always amazing, our students. You always expect some wonderful things from the high school. But when I walked around for the elementary, I was really impressed. We have some really good young artists coming up. So, again, thank you, Jen Schulman, for doing that. It's just a wonderful thing. I also wanted to thank Corey Broadwater which he's here tonight. Hello, Corey. He came over to my house and helped me set up my thing to get into my email. I don't even know what it's called. Two-step, thank you, whatever it is. But it took us maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most. But I really appreciate the help that he and Ryan give me, because I don't know. I don't have a cell phone, so I didn't know how I was going to do this. And sure enough, it's very easy. And Corey, thank you very much for coming to my home and helping me. I'm only like a couple minutes away usually, so that's good. And then I just happened to read the notes, and I just wanted to mention the Farm to School Grow Ohio grant. Is this Chef Bill doing this grant? That's what I thought. It didn't say, but I thought so because it was under food services. It's just really neat how he is going after that. So to prepare and use local food, fresh food, into our school lunches. And I just wanted to give him a little shout out too on that. So, yeah, it's very interesting. I hope he does get the grants for that.
They've been featuring our school as a farm to school district. Because they mentioned it at OSBA last year at Capitol Conference, because I was having, I think, multiple people on the board had people come up to us. They were talking about I went to the farm to school thing, and they were talking about your school district, and I want to reach out and learn more about that. So they've been really hyping up our district and what Chef Bill's been doing with that program.
Well, I just think it's a really wonderful program, so just wanted to shout it out. So that's all.
They're actually taking our students. They're gonna, I recommended them, the urban agricultural class got accepted to be at the student fair this year. At OSBA.
Wonderful.
That's awesome.
It is, because it's really something.
And we're trying to get our band there. We also applied.
Really?
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
We haven't heard on that one
I
yet.
can talk to Reno about that, because he just told me they were looking for someone from Northeast
Aren't
region.
we?
Yeah.
I'll talk to Reno.
But that's
I know
good,
people.
yes.
I know you.
So, great. Ms. Coco?
Yes, everyone's, I know, mentioned a lot of the same things, that I was able to go to the art walk, of course, amazing, and always better every year. When you think it can't be, it always is, and, you know, I appreciate all the hard work everyone does for that event and bringing the community together for the art walk. I went to the combined middle school spring band concert last week, and to see those students in 6th grade at their first concert, barely playing, they didn't play Hot Cross Buns, but barely. And then to see where they are at the end of their first year is just remarkable. And just a shout out to all of our band teachers and everything they do, and then to see the 7th graders and the 8th graders. And it's really cool that they're doing them combined now, like the whole Roberts and Bullock are together in anticipation of the new 6 through 12 campus, and that they are practicing separately at their schools, but then they're playing together. I think that day they go to the school and practice together that day and during the day of the concert. But so that was awesome, and of course congratulations to all of our last group of top Tigers. Looking forward to the beam signing, and just a staff appreciation. There are really words to express how much we appreciate everyone in this district and everything they do for our students. And my daughter actually had a CTE presentation today for her teaching capstone, and so I'm going to quote her as best as possible. She said, one of the things she learned most from the teaching program the past 2 years, CTE teaching program, She said, I never knew teaching was so hard. She said, because I never have had a teacher that acted like it was hard to teach me. And that just, I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's what it's about. The students don't think they're hard, and that it's hard to teach them. And I don't know, that was just, I was like, oh my gosh, my daughter said that. I'm gonna use that. So, yes, so thank you to all of our staff and all of our teachers.
Thank you. I'm a blast for comments. I too was at the art walk, always amazed and great to see 10 years in. It's still just as strong as ever. A couple weekends ago, I made out to the baseball reverse raffle. They had a great crowd, and it was at the Eagles down on Front Street, and I'd never been in there, so I got to cross that off my Cuyahoga Falls bucket list of places I hadn't been to yet. And then also really enjoyed and appreciated the opportunity to go to the Board Leadership Institute with Mrs. Schaefer. We learned a lot, and the finance presentation was really good, and we even brought some things back that I think we're gonna ask for. Sorry, Mr. Wickler. You can blame Cajun Keaton, who we're pretty sure. Yeah, he had a good idea. He had a really good idea about the staffing report that we're gonna ask him about. But it was really good. Because we were like, this looks really basic. We know the basics, but he did a very, very phenomenal job at that finance presentation.
I saw who was presenting, I was like, this will be good.
And just networking with other board members around the state. One of the things that is very humbling is how much other boards respect our board. And people are like, we listen to your board meetings. We listen to your board meetings, and I'm trying to get my board to have more presentations because you guys seem to know what's going on in your district, and my board never knows what's going on. Or you guys have a presentation about curriculum, and you actually know like what your curriculum is, and my board won't. Like, we don't talk about that. And I was like, oh, like, it's very humbling, very, very humbling that people feel that way about us. And then Director Dakin spoke from DEW at the beginning. And what we learned about Director Dakin is that he does not understand what school board members do. Because he kept saying, you probably don't know this about your district. And we were all like, I do know that. And he was like, do you know how many of your students this, that, and the other? We're like, yes, we do. Ask us. Ask us how many of our students, like, why do you think we're on a school board? Do you think we're on a school board because we don't care about how many of our students achieve and succeed and graduate? Like, how many of your students graduate in 4 years? Like, why wouldn't we know about that number? Why wouldn't we care? And he was like, MTSS. You probably don't know what that means. Like, at a group of 200 schools, we're all like, we know what that means. Thank you so much for your time, sir. So it was very interesting to learn what the new director of the Department of Education and Workforce thinks school board members know. I'd be interested to hear a presentation on what he thinks we do know, because this was like what he thinks we don't know. We learned a lot from that presentation, because we were all looking at each other like.
Don't get caught in the minutia, he said. Don't get caught in the minutia.
And leadership matters, but following state ethics laws don't, I guess. That was why because, he violated those, but I guess we're not supposed to mention that.
We had a similar interesting experience as superintendents from his talk to us.
We were not very impressed. And I heard one of his top deputies gave a presentation, and I heard it was equally terrible. Scott Hunt, they said it was not good. I heard it was. He was reading Stephen Covey's book to them.
Oh, yeah, I went to that one.
Yeah, when he was reading Stephen Covey's book passages.
Yeah, for the first 20 minutes.
So we'll be interested to see what goes forward. He was talking about the MIMPs, but they said that they think that bill has stalled for now, so we'll see. So that's what we have to bring back for now. Item J's motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, do you want to read it?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned at 8:54. AJ seconded.